business owner? Looking for a great way to get your brand out to a dedicated market? Join the club. Email us at info@therpmpodcast.com for all sponsorship details.
And here we are again, episode 163 of the RPM podcast. It is February 11th, 2020 at 2:39 p.m. in the afternoon. We're all playing hooky from work. I had a little slow day with the towing company. I did some tows this morning, but I was free in the afternoon. We all decided to get together early and podcast so we can tune back into NBC Sports Track Pass tonight to watch New Smyrna. We went from having no racing to too much racing. I mean, there's so much racing going on right now. It's unreal. My brother, Tim, I'm Scott Riggleman, the host in Manchester, New Jersey. My brother, Tim, is up in Farmingdale, New Jersey. Tim, how are you?
Good, ready to go.
Unfortunately, we got a little bit bad news about my brother. I mean, we talked about it a little bit in the pre-podcast. Unfortunately, my brother did not get that job driving the hot dog wagon for Oscar Mayer Wienermobile. He did not get that job, unfortunately. But it's a one-year contract, so every year it goes back after contract. So good luck. Better luck next year, Tim, on trying to get that job. But I did notice a guy that did get the job actually wrecked it already. Did you guys see that? On the news?
No, I didn't see this.
Yeah, he had snow in like Wyoming or something like that and went off the road and put it in a ditch, and the back wheels and the whole back of the hot dog were sticking up in the air. So he's not doing so good on his first couple of weeks.
He should have stayed in the gas, I'm telling you.
So, I mean, Oscar Mayer made a mistake by who they picked over my brother. I heard my brother was in the final running down. It came down to the last 4 or 5 guys, and unfortunately, my brother didn't make it. I think it was age. I think it was age discrimination, Tim. I think you're a little too old for that job. They're looking for a college student.
Yeah,
should the winner be decided by a hot dog eating contest instead?
They're looking for a college student. So, Tim, if you want to go back to college, you might have a better chance of getting that job. Also, we have Josh Matthews, who's freshly unpacked from our motorsport show about a month ago. He just unpacked all the equipment, got set up. Josh is in between mental breakdowns right now, so we're going to probably get a show out of him here today.
I just renewed the registration on my truck and 2 trailers last night.
I did my trailers, too. I did that a while ago. I already got them back in the mail. I have 3 trailers I actually registered.
They're usually quick, but one thing I'm really annoyed about is that the MVC, the Motor Vehicle Commission, brought back the service fee.
Oh, really?
To do it online. Yeah, it's $1.50. But when you're doing, multiple trailers, cars, and everything else, it adds up to a few bucks. And I've always complained when there was a service fee. I always fill out the survey. And whenever there's not a service fee, I'm like, oh, this is wonderful that you don't have a service fee. Thank you so much. And, and so they got 3 very angry comments last night.
I actually re-registered 3 trailers. I think it was $23 a trailer, if I remember right.
Yes.
And, my camper, of course, that registration, and then the race car trailer I use every week to go to the races, I re-register too. And then I have like a phantom trailer, I call it. It's a homemade built trailer plate. I don't have the trailer anymore. I actually ended up scrapping it, a long time ago.
It's well worth keeping that plate up. Yeah, it's well worth it.
Yeah, exactly. For $23 a year, I figure I might as well keep the plate up because it's very hard to get the homemade trailer plates anymore.
That's almost like a dealer plate for a trailer.
Right,
yeah.
Exactly. So I haven't used that plate in probably 4 or 5 years, but every year I pay the $23. This way, if I ever do come across another trailer, I have another plate and ready to go. And sometimes, I have friends that have race car trailers, and if they want to go away, we'll just use my plate.
Well, my boat trailer, that plate came from a friend who was scrapping a trailer, and so I was like, good, that one's going to disappear. I'll just take over the registration part, and we'll act like I bought it from him. And I actually, and here's how weird I was about it. When I filled out the paperwork for the DMV, you write how much you paid for it. And I know everybody, comes up with a lower number than you actually paid, of course. But I did it so that with the tax, it would come out to like an even number. That way, when I actually had to pay for it, it was, when I had to pay the tax on it, it was flat. And yeah, it was just me being. I'm also that weird guy that when you go out to dinner and you pay the waitress, if you leave the tip on the card, I'll do the math so it comes out to an even number. So they get like $5.23 as their tip.
See, now I do it the lazy man
too,
way.
but it really doesn't matter because when I pay my credit card bill, it's all mixed up anyway. So it really doesn't.
Whenever I go anywhere and pay on my credit card, I don't care if it's $13 or $113. You get $10. It's just easier. It's easier just to add the $10 to the tip. You don't have to do any math.
My system is when I leave a bill, I just move the decimal over one spot and then double it.
Yeah. No, that's the easiest way to do it.
Here's another question.
100%.
When you figure out your tip, do you do it before the tax or after the tax?
I do it at the end of the bill, so I guess it would be after.
You do it with the tax. Yeah, you do it with the tax.
Mm-hmm.
I would try to do it with the tax if available. Yeah.
You don't have to do that. You do it before the tax.
Yeah, I know. And
if you're Elliot,
give this girl a little bit more. She was good. I said, Nancy, I'm already giving her a little bit more. I'm giving her 20% on the tax, on the total with tax. I said that she is getting extra. I mean, really, you don't have to give 18% or even 10%.
Now you're not supposed to tip on the alcohol. It's just the food.
Well, we tip on the alcohol too, so she's really making it. Like I said, whatever the total of the bill is on the bottom, I move the decimal over one spot and double it. It's that simple.
And if she's cuter, I always add a little bit more.
I just put $10. The bill's €13.
So wait, we went from talking about food to how to pay for food. This is great.
All right, guys, we're going to get going here. I guess we'll start off with John Andretti. John Andretti was I think he was a two-time Cup winner. I know he was the only driver to win for Cale Yarborough Motorsports when Cale Yarborough owned the team.
Okay.
He won that Daytona race driving the '98 RCA Thunderbird. That was a cool car. It was all white and red and had the RCA real big on the side.
What year roughly was that?
I have no idea what year it was, but it was when Cale Yarborough first owned a race team, and John was the only one ever able to win a race for Cale Yarborough as an owner. So that's a pretty cool stat. Mm-hmm. And then his other big win was he won at Martinsville, and that was the first time Richard Petty's car won at Martinsville in a very, very long time. And the reason why Martinsville is so important to the Pettys is it's not far from their place in Level Cross, North Carolina. It's basically just over the state line. So that always felt like a home track to them. Martinsville and the Pettys, it felt like a home track like us racing at Wall Stadium, So that was a very big win to get, not only to get Petty Enterprise back into victory lane after a long drought, but at Martinsville at their home track. So that was two of his big wins. He's also famous for, I'm pretty sure he was the first one to ever do the double, where he ran the Indy 500 and then flew to Charlotte and ran the 600. And I remember that as a kid because John Andretti wasn't super, super popular, but he did have the Andretti name. And I remember when I didn't think anybody was going to care when he did the double. But when he left Indy and he flew into Charlotte, they actually landed the helicopter right on the front straightaway on the patch of grass between pit road and the front stretch. And I remember my brother was watching it with me, and the place went crazy when he landed. When he landed and got out of that helicopter, he pretty much got a standing ovation from the people at Charlotte. So it ended up being a pretty big and cool deal that he did that. Unfortunately, John had colon cancer, and he caught it a little late because he never went and got the test. And by the time they found out he had it, it was pretty aggressive, and he wasn't able to beat the cancer because it was so aggressive.
He was the first, like you said, Scott.
He was the first to do the double.
Yes.
And the weird thing is too, when I had this weight loss surgery, I had to go for all these tests. So I said, well, I'm getting on, and I was 40. I think I'm 46 now. So I was 44 when I went to go get the weight loss surgery. So while I'm getting all these tests, I'm like, I might as well get the colonoscopy and while I'm doing this all, And it was weird. My doctor said, no, you don't need it yet. You need it when you're 50. But it used to be 40. For some reason, it's 50 now. And John Andretti I think he was only 54 when he passed away. So, the one good thing that came out of him getting this, he started a whole campaign. I think it's called Get It Checked for Andretti. When you go get checked for colon cancer.
Yeah, check it for Andretti.
What is it?
Check it for Andretti.
Check it for Andretti. He ran a whole campaign, and a lot of people went and got checked. A lot of people in the motorsports industry went and got checked. And from what I hear, it did save a few lives because A couple people did catch it real early and was able to get it cured. Unfortunately, he wasn't able to get it cured, and he passed away.
Now, we mentioned how he he carries the Andretti name, which is already famous. He drove for Richard Petty, which is another huge name with a lot of weight to it. And he drove in the 43 for a while, and I know Bobby Hamilton also drove that 43 for a while, and he died, I think, head and neck cancer, I believe. So
Yeah,
I remember he broke a rib, I think it was at Dover. When one of the races I was at many years ago, Bobby Hamilton, that is, he hit the turn 2 wall and actually ended up breaking a rib or two.
Bobby Hamilton actually won a couple of races for Petty too in the 43 car.
Also, John Andretti, of course, started racing modifieds at Dorney Park.
Yeah, that's exactly right, Tim. He did. That's where he started his career. He lived in nearby Allentown, and he was actually his father was Aldo Andretti, which was Mario Andretti's brother, and they raced over at Dorney Park, and John did start his racing career at Dorney Park in one of those big type dirt modifieds racing on an asphalt track,
Huh.
And he did some Top Fuel racing for a while too.
Was it Top Fuel?
Yeah,
I believe so.
I don't know if it was Top Fuel, but it was. He did some NHRA racing. I don't know if it was Top Fuel or Pure Pro Stocks or Funny Cars or whatever.
No, I'm pretty sure it was the long drag car looking thing.
Yeah, it was a Top Fuel drag car.
Yeah.
I mean, John Andretti didn't have a lot of wins, but he was a versatile driver. He would race anything, and he would race competitively. Like he was the type of guy that he could do a lot of top tens. You know what I'm saying? He was always from like 5th to 15th. You know what I'm saying? Like he finished in there. He never wrecked real bad. He wasn't a crasher. He could definitely get the most out of the cars he was in and finish well.
Josh, Google.
I already found it. It was in 1993. Andretti drove the Taco Bell Express Top Fuel Dragster.
Did it say how many times, or just once, or?
It does not say how many, but he did. He said he reached the semifinals in his first national event. So it sounds like he ran more than one. That's for sure. Trying to think. Career best speed of 299 miles per hour.
Oh wow!
In that race, he beat 1992 Top Fuel champion Joe Amato in round 1 and Mopar Express Lube driver Tommy Johnson in round 2, but lost to Mike Dunn in the. Oh geez! In Darrell Gwynn's La Victoria Salsa car in the semifinals. The race was won by Eddie Hill.
He beat Joe Amato. Joe Amato was one of the best drag racers ever.
Yeah, everybody's entitled to a bad day, right?
I mean, John Andretti definitely he lived a great life. Unfortunately, he lived a short life. So rest in peace, in John Andretti. I did see they did a cool thing. Like they took him around Indy in the hearse. Did you see that?
Yes.
After the funeral, they did a couple of victory laps around Indy, and it was weird too because it was kind of sad because it was raining that day. So it was kind of eerie seeing a hearse going around the Indy racetrack real slow in the rain.
I'll say.
So they did.
If you look at his Wikipedia page, just on the right, where they have the born and birth and death dates and stuff like that, they have his Cup Series, Xfinity Series, the Truck Series, IndyCar, Champ Kart. There's just he has a lot of stats. They're talking about IMSA and Rolex Sports Car Series. Yeah, I mean he did a lot. And yeah, he lived an incredible life, and it's a shame that he's gone so soon. When who knows how much he would have had left in him to continue racing different things, or because I don't know.
And he was dabbling in TV too. He was doing a lot with the TV side of things too.
It seemed like everybody said he was always smiling and seemed to know his stuff. I mean. Like to dabble in everything. Which
all right. So rest in peace, John Andretti. We're going to move over to the Busch Clash. I did not watch the Busch Clash. I was at the Wall Stadium Banquet that we'll talk about in a little bit later. But from what I hear, even on Facebook, they were making memes. They were instead of calling it the Busch Clash, they were calling it the Busch Crash. And there were only 6 cars finished, and out of those 6 cars, 4 or 5 of them had severe damage. So, did you guys watch the race?
Yes,
I did. I think it had 2 big ones. It had, not just one big one. It had 2, and it was from blocking.
Well,
Joey
I'm
Logano.
going to say one of the big ones was at low speed because they were
Yeah.
just taking the flag, and 7 cars go spinning and crashing, and
Yeah, you're right.
And
But-
here's the thing, too. It was the Busch Clash. So you don't have a 40-car field. You're starting with 18 cars. So you have 2 big wrecks. When you're only starting with 18 cars, it's going to dwindle the field down pretty quick.
yeah, oh yeah, absolutely.
The funny part about the whole thing is there's 6 cars left. 5 of them were tore up, and there's the 3 car. He still can't win.
I saw like that. It was Richard Childress talking to his grandson, and he said the whole field wrecked, and you still didn't win. But to defend Austin a little bit, it kind of just shows you how strong the Toyotas are, because Eric Jones's Toyota was pushed up in the front. It looked like a snowplow, and he still blew.
Denny was just pushing them like there was no tomorrow,
Yeah,
too.
I mean, they definitely
Yeah.
was Denny Hamlin a lap down.
Yes.
Is that why he?
Yeah,
Yeah.
Okay.
even if he would have been on the lead lap if he crossed the line in front of him, in
Okay.
front of Eric Jones, which honestly that would have added another fun stat to the whole freaking race. But it also goes to prove what I've said about like anybody can win that race. It's about being in the right place at the right time, having the right person pushing you or whatever. It's about surviving at all. At that point, who cares what's left of the car? If it if it can still drive and get out there, it's worth something.
Right. I have a question. A question for you, Josh. I always love your answer.
Oh boy,
Denny Hamlin, not Denny Hamlin. The 22 and the 18. Whose fault was that?
22 and the 18.
Joey
The
Logano and
22
Kyle
went
Busch.
to and Logano went to block the 18.
Oh, okay. I think the 18 was pushing pretty hard, and he did duck to the inside.
Yeah, but that was after he was clearly on the outside going for a run, and the 22 just shoved his car up in there to block him,
yeah.
to blatantly block him. How is that Kyle Busch's fault? The guy pulled up in front of him.
No, I think it was aggressive on both parts. It really was.
Yeah, but if you're second or third, you can't lift because you're going to get running from behind.
Yeah.
So what are you going to do? What are you supposed to do?
Yeah, like where do you have to go? No, I don't think. I think it was a
Tim,
stupid move
Tim,
to.
I understand what you're saying, but what Kyle Busch could have done, like Josh said, he cut down low and got him in the corner. And I understand what you're saying, that Kyle Busch can't lift off, and it was Joey Logano's fault because he cut up in front of Kyle. But what Kyle could have did to save it was just hit him square and stay square on him. Don't go down to the left. You know what I'm saying?
Kyle, I think, pushed a little too hard to try to make his run work. Joey was too aggressive in blocking, and Kyle was too aggressive in trying to make the pass with the run that he had. When if he had, like Scott said, had hit him square, then they both would have at least had a run and gotten away from the pack for a minute, and then they could fight it out again,
Okay, because the reason why I ask you is because Logano's teammate, Brad Keselowski, was very vocal how he was mad at the 22 for doing that. So,
Well,
But Brad's also mad at the whole blocking thing to begin with. So
I get that.
if you block and there's a wreck, it's the blocker's fault. It's just like if there's a guy on the street being a drunk driver and someone runs a red light and hits the drunk driver, it's still the drunk driver's fault because he's drunk. So the way Brad's talking is like, no matter what happens in what
blocker's fault.
situation, if someone blocks in that situation, it's the blocker's fault. Yeah.
right.
But meanwhile, Brad Keselowski will go out and block. So what's the difference?
Well, I mean, you remember when Tony Stewart caused, was it a huge, I think it was Talladega for some reason, but it was a huge pileup where he rolled on top of the hoods of like 2 other cars because he threw a late block that was way too aggressive. Yeah, he shouldn't have done that, but he was also desperate to try to hang on. It happens all the time. It gets dicey at the end, and regardless of spotters and all that, I mean, when it happens that fast, I don't think you can even blame spotters at that point because you can't communicate back and forth that quickly. or even process it. That's on the drivers making the decision to go for it or not. Joey should have thought better of it. Kyle should have thought better of it.
Another funny quote that came out of this race was Joe Gibbs. Did you guys hear what Joe Gibbs said after the race?
No, what
No.
was that?
He said it cost me $1 million today to win a trophy. And that pretty much sums up racing. You know what I'm saying? Like he said, because all his cars were wrecked, and basically what he got out of it was a trophy.
Yeah, I know. It probably cost $1 million. It didn't cost him $1 million. M&M's paid for a lot of that, and the 20 paid for a lot of that, and all the sponsorship paid for it all.
It's still money, though. It's still money that has to be spent.
But with racing like that, with all those type of wrecks, if those highlights go up and you get more people watching, the sponsors will be happy either way.
Yeah, they'll give him more money.
Yeah.
But the one good thing that did come out of it, Eric Jones got a win, and last year Eric Jones was a little bit on the hot seat. There was rumors about him losing his ride over there, and now he started off with a win, so he might be safe for a little bit longer. So it was
Again,
nice to see.
anybody smart though, I think, would be like, okay, yeah, you got a win and you brought us in some money, but it was Daytona. Anybody could have had that, and he wouldn't have done that probably without Denny's help pushing him. So
Yeah, but that's what teammates is what it's all about with that kind of racing. So
yeah, well, but that's the thing. What would have happened if Denny was on the lead lap and actually tried to, would he?
he would have tried to pass him earlier, I would have think.
Exactly.
Yeah.
So, I mean, Eric Jones might not have won that if, in that same situation, had Denny been on the same lap. So, it's...
That goes to win. I mean,
that goes to woulda, coulda, shoulda.
He needs wins, so that helped him out.
Yeah.
Yeah. I liked him because, Kyle Busch, discovered him and everything, but I think in the beginning they put him in too quick. He should have raced the Grand National cars a little longer.
I think the same for Chase Elliott.
Yeah, he didn't make any friends yesterday or whatever that was, Sunday either. He was kind of running. He was running impressively hard, is one way to put it, But he did dump a couple guys there.
Yeah, I don't know. I don't understand his thing. But actually, now I know we were talking about that. There wasn't much else. I mean, it was just.
It was the two big wrecks and then the push for the win is all.
Josh, you want to give us the top 10 on this race or top 6?
Top 6.
Let me bring that up. Now, what was the other wreck? Was that the the
restart you were talking about?
Yeah, the restart where they was it 2 cars spun their tires and then they just like slid sideways down the track.
Like there was almost something on the track, like.
Honestly, if I didn't know, I don't know, man. It almost looked like there was fluid or something down on the track. Yeah. That was a weird wreck. It really was. And
what I felt bad for was Ryan Newman. I thought he had a shot to win there at the end, and the car blew up with like 2 laps to go.
Yeah.
He was in the lead, and then the car slowed way down. I guess it blew up on him. He might have had a shot to win.
I still wonder was it just an engine failure or did he overheat that thing somehow?
Something. He was leading and with 2 laps to go, it started smoking, and that was the end of him.
All right, so I'm going to give you the top 6 because 7th and on is a DNF, which is still fun to see here. So Eric Jones, we talked about getting the win with probably the most beat-up car out of the bunch at that point. Second was Austin Dillon, Clint Boyer, Kyle Larson, Ryan Newman, and then Denny Hamlin, who was a lap down at the time, but he was still running. So, yeah, it was, I don't know. It was something to watch. I don't know what else to say about that.
There was one of the commentators was talking about if that would have been a normal race, the car that won the race probably wouldn't even have been in the field because they wouldn't have been able to fix it within the 5-minute period to get it done. It was just they didn't pit. They said, "Screw it, we're racing it."
Yeah, honestly, I didn't even think about the 5-minute clock because I don't think anybody brought it up during the race.
Yeah, well, that race they don't have it. You can do that.
Okay. Yeah, they didn't have that's what my brother's saying. If it was under normal rules in a normal race, the car that won, which was Eric Jones, he might not even been in the race because he would have never fixed it.
Right. Other than throwing a a crap ton of tape on that thing. I don't know what else you could do to it. I was surprised when Hamlin was pushing him. If you saw that hood fluttering, I thought that for sure that thing was coming off. I was waiting for that to just flop up over the windshield or just be gone entirely.
It's just so funny how much money they spend doing wind tunnel testing and smoothing the cars out and stuff like that. And then in the end, the cars get beat up anyway, and they're still fast. So I don't know. I think a lot of that's wasted money. Another thing I want to talk about that we finished up the Busch Clash on that. Another thing that happened at Daytona with the Cup cars was qualifying for the Daytona 500, the time trial qualifying, and it also sets the fields for the twin races on Thursday. The pole was won by Ricky Stenhouse Jr. in his new ride, the 47 car over JTG Daugherty Racing. It's kind of good to see him get the pole, and it's something positive because he lost his ride last year and got shipped over to the JTG Daugherty race team. And for him to come out of the box strong and get the pole, that's good for him. And Alex Bowman was on the outside pole in the 88 car. That the only thing that came out of that time trial race was it locks in the front row. Which is the 47 car and the 88. And the other thing that came out of that is the two fastest cars. I think there's 5 or 6 open teams that are fighting for.
Yeah.
What's that, Tim?
6.
6 cars. So out of those 6 cars that don't have guaranteed starting spots in the Daytona 500, if you're the 2 fastest cars out of that group, you also lock into the race. And that was Justin Haley and Brandon Gaughan. So they're locked into the race as well. So no matter what happens in the twin races, they're qualified as well. So the other guys got to battle it out to see who finishes higher than the other guys to complete the field. So that was about it for qualifying. So now we'll have to wait for the dual races on Thursday for that.
I saw, they interviewed Brendan Gaughan a couple times because he lost, half a second, they said, from his practice speed. And he was real worried about having to get in without, or as in he didn't run fast enough, or he wasn't going to be locked in. But
I also heard in some interviews too, and he says he's pretty much the dual races. He's pretty much going to start and park it or just cruise around because he has really nothing to gain by running it, and he has more to lose because he does have a backup car down there with him, but he says it's not a very good one, so he wants to keep all their eggs are in this basket with this car.
Yeah,
it's the best of everything, and he wants to save it for the 500 because it is his last 500. He is doing the 4 restrictor plate races this year, and then he's retiring. So he wants to save this car for the 500 and doesn't want to wreck it. Another thing they do too, which I don't like, I think if you're locked into the front row, which is Stenhouse and Bowman, this happened years in the past. I've seen pole guys pull off because they don't want to wreck because they want to start on the pole.
Okay.
You know, because if you wreck in one of your qualifying races, you got to go to a backup car. Now you lose the pole. You got to go start at the tail end of the field. So I kind of wish they would waive that for Bowman and Stenhouse. I want to see them race hard in the twin races, and if they do wreck their car, then let them start on the pole with their backup car. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Or let them run their backup car in the twin race or something like that. You know what I'm saying? Like, don't let them, because, you know, in the back of my mind, if I'm Stenhouse, he's already got the pole for the 500, and how cool would it be for his sponsors to see that car lead him to the green flag for the 500. Now, if he goes out and wrecks in this race and has to go to a backup car, then, you know, it's like he loses all that spotlight, you know? So I say let him race, and if he does wreck it in that and got to go to a backup car, then still let him start on the pole, you know?
Yeah, I think exactly like you on that. It's not worth having a beat up car.
NASCAR's made crazier rules than that, so why not? You know.
Yeah. All right. Something else that happened at Daytona was the Arca race, which I love that division. I've always liked the Arca division because guys with smaller budgets a chance to race on big tracks such as Daytona, and also gives guys with big budgets a chance to prove themselves to move up to the next level on big tracks like that. Our friend Andy Zeus, or Slice, whatever you want to pronounce his last name, Andy's been on our show on the podcast with us. He's a good friend of my brother's. And he had a great qualifying run. He qualified on the outside pole. Unfortunately, on the first lap, he tried to squeeze down into line, and he got hooked and sent for a ride.
Tim, whose fault was that?
Spotter's fault. Charlie Brown.
Yeah, you know what? That was not the spotter's fault. And here's
No,
why.
it wasn't.
We do have the spot mirrors on the left side. Andy can see exactly what's going on. Even if your spotter did clear you to go down, you got to remember he's 2.5 miles away from you. It's a very hard call from a spotter from that far away. Andy should have known his first lap. Don't squeeze in. Don't make nothing stupid. We love Andy. He comes on our show. He talks track food with us all the time. He messages on Facebook. He's a great guy. But I'm gonna have to pin this one on Andy himself. He forced himself down into a hole that wasn't there at the very first lap. But in Andy's defense, he was able to pit the car. He did save it in a way where he didn't cause the big one. He did slide through the infield on the track and did tap the wall. But the car wasn't that bad. It only got some front end damage when it came back up on the banking, and they were able to get that pushed back down. Then what got exciting from there, he had the whole race to make up the time and everything, and he did. He got up to like 12th from dead last in pretty quick time, and he was running well. So I'm like, good, Andy's still in this. He's still got a good shot at this. And then the big one happened, and he got caught up in that, and that ended his day.
Yeah.
Yeah, it sucks. Andy's a good guy, and I was looking forward to see him do good. It's one of the reasons why I'm watching the race all year long on Facebook. He's very active on Facebook. They post a lot of updates and stuff, and here we are ready to watch him go to the race as we make the first corner. And it sucks. And Charlie Brown did take a good beating on Facebook, but
Charlie Brown, Tim?
Oh yeah, he's a good guy. Like Josh just said, at the end of the day, it's always the spotter's fault. So,
Yeah.
Actually, something I wanted to talk about before we continue with that. Did you guys hear anything about this for the Cup Series? The new car of tomorrow or whatever. What do they call it? Gen 7?
Yeah.
They're talking about center lock wheels and 18-inch tires. Anybody heard of that?
Yeah.
Well, they're definitely going to the 18-inch tires. But I heard they're not going to the center lug. That's just a topic people were talking about. Why not? If we're changing, let's go to the center hub.
Okay.
Number one, people still enjoy the pit stops and watch them hit 5 on, 5 off. The other thing is they don't know if a center lug hub would work on a 3,400-pound race car. Where it works great in Indy. Indy cars are what, 1,500 pounds, 1,200 pounds, something like that.
Okay.
Yeah, it works in road racing, but then again, a lot lighter cars. We're talking 3,400-pound cars on oval track where it puts a lot of pressure on that right front tire when you go into these corners. So they kind of want to stay with the 5-lug thing.
Okay. I just figured we'd hit that real quick because I heard them bring that up during the 24 hours at Daytona, and it was probably like 2 a.m. when I heard it, but yeah, I just figured I'd bring it up.
That was just a topic. NASCAR hasn't announced, but they are going to an 18-inch rim.
Okay. That'll be interesting. I mean, that's going to affect handling, though, because if you have a lower profile tire, or you're going to have these big balloon giant tires that it'll turn into a freaking monster truck.
Yeah, I don't know what they're going to look like now, but, they kind of had to do it because even with me junking cars, I look for 15-inch tires when I'm junking cars because if I can find a decent set of tires, I can use them on my Enduro cars while I'm junking cars. You know what I'm saying? And tell you the truth, there ain't a lot of 15-inch tires out there anymore.
No.
A lot of 16, 16.5, 17s. They're just trying to make them look more like the cars on the street, and the cars on the street today have 17 and 18-inch rims on them. That's what the kids like now. Kids like the 22s. And they're just trying to make it more appealing to the fans that buy their everyday cars and what the cars will look like in an everyday car on the street. So one of them is to go from a 15-inch wheel to an 18-inch wheel.
I'm just a little concerned that when they run the lower pressures at depending on the track, that you're going to have to possibly worry about bottoming that out and banging up your rim, right?
Yeah, and now do they have room for the interliners and stuff like that? I don't know. I'm not a tire, engineer or anything. I'm sure it's all thought about, but who knows?
Okay. The other thing, the Xfinity Series is going to be running the road course at Indianapolis.
I'm not a fan.
No?
Here's why. A guy like me would love to race a track like Indy because of its history and everything like that. I'll never make it to the Indy cars. I'll never make it to the Cup level. But hey, maybe someday I'll have 50 grand to go do an Xfinity race. I want to race the oval,
Okay.
not the road course. I mean, how many guys have been there in an Xfinity car? I mean, look like a guy like Mike Harmon, stuff like that, who has Xfinity cars and races Xfinity, but will never make it to the Cup level or run a Cup car. You know, now they can say, "Hey, I race the Indy on the oval." You know what I'm saying?
Yeah. No, it makes sense. Do you think it'll be any better for the TV fans?
Everybody's gonna watch the first one, that's for sure.
Yeah, I don't know. I don't like it.
Okay.
I like road course racing.
I mean, I like the road course racing. I don't have a problem with it, but I just know if I'm just like when the modifieds went to Daytona and they're pulling through the gates at Daytona and they're seeing the big track, but they're racing on a quarter-mile track on the back straightaway.
Yeah,
It's
but
like easy. It's like you're there, but you're not there. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, I get what you're saying, but it was still like when I was lucky enough to spot for a couple of them. You still feel, you're still Daytona. You still
Yeah.
want to win at Daytona. You know,
Yeah.
it was cool. I would love to do that again. It was a good experience.
But like I said, from a competitor standpoint, like a guy like me, I mean, that would be my shot to be able to run Indy, the oval. You know what I'm
Yeah.
saying? And if I ever made it to that level or had the money to do an Xfinity race, I wouldn't pick that race now because I don't want to run on the road course. You know?
Yeah, I think you have a point. I don't disagree with that. I just I wasn't sure if it would. I wonder. My fear is that because of how bad the races have been as far as entertainment value, in the past couple of years at Indianapolis for the NASCAR, the top series there. I know they were experimenting with a different aero package. I think it was last year to try to create more drafting and passing and all that.
I think I know what you're getting to, Josh. I definitely think this is a test. If the Xfinity cars run good on there and it's an exciting race, the next year the Cup cars are going to be on it too.
Okay.
You think now the Cup cars have two dates there, like one on a road course and one?
Get rid of the oval and just run on the.
No, I don't see that. I don't agree with because that's taken away from tradition.
Just the race so bad at Indy, with the Cup cars.
I think it's gonna also. It'll depend on how this year goes, but also we got to figure out when this next generation car comes out and how that might perform differently there. So
they would have to do the double weekend like they're doing at Pocono. That have the Cup cars on the big track one day and on the road course the next. You can't take away the road course. I mean the oval track.
Okay.
You can't do that.
All right. Well, time will tell. They did do a test there, right, Josh?
I haven't seen anything about
No,
that
they're
yet.
testing Circuits of America today, right, or something like that with the Indy cars. What's CODA?
Yes, that's Circuit of the Americas.
Yeah, their Indy cars are doing a test there today.
Oh, okay. I'm dumb and.
I mean, we don't need to talk about it. I'm just letting you know.
As far as the road course racing, I'd rather watch a road course race than watch a Cup race on one of the cookie cutter tracks. They're so boring. I'd rather watch a road course race.
That's saying something come from Tim because I remember there was I think it was an Indy or an F1 race that was on one day, and we were in our group message going back and forth, and Tim's like, "Yeah, I tried watching. I got about 5 minutes, and I had to turn it off."
Well, yeah, if I'm talking about, I'd rather watch a Cup Series race on a road course.
No, but just you acknowledging that the road course racing doesn't suck is important because there are so many call them tradition fans or whatever that are like, oh, road courses are boring. NASCAR sucks when they're on a road course. I'm like, no. Watkins Glen is always exciting. I think the Circuit of the Americas race would be great for to have the Cup cars at. It's an exciting track.
The 24-hour race at Daytona is awesome. I watch every minute of that I can.
Yeah,
I love that.
I still want to know how they.
A little off topic here. We were on the Arca race and we just talked about it.
Arca race. How about your girlfriend?
Yeah, the race was won by Michael Wayne Self. He won the race, and Natalie Decker finished. Not Natalie Decker.
Haley Deegan.
Haley Deegan. Haley finished second in her first super speedway race. She ran a great race. She really did until she did make that one mistake when she dumped that one guy.
Yeah, it was the 11 car.
Car racing, they never get penalized for spinning anybody. I think they should do what short track racing does and at least put you to the rear or
We had
along the line
pit
or something
stop.
like that.
Yeah, you're mandatory. Come down pit road or
Stop
something.
and go or something. There's
Yeah.
like no penalty for dumping people in big time
Yeah,
stock car racing.
she
NASCAR and
went
ARCA.
flat out right through that car and turned him hard to that outside wall. That was a tough hit. So I'm not saying that she meant to do it, but she still did
She
it.
did.
She could have
Yeah.
lifted.
But other than that, she had a great race. She survived a few wrecks. She did great. I think that ties her with the highest finish at Daytona for a female driver with a second place finish.
Yeah, so I think she's the fifth one tied for second there.
Okay. I mean, she had, other than that one, she spun that one guy. Other than that, she had a great race, and she's off to a great start in the ARCA division.
I'm still gonna I'll keep an eye on her, but you got to watch out because she went right through that 11 car, and it was Daytona, so we'll see how it goes.
Listen, I don't mind her driving like that, but when it happens back to her, she better not cry about it.
I think that's going to be the biggest thing, and I'm worried about a lot of people siding with her just because, or for whatever reason, they take her over Danica. I don't know what it is, but there's so many people that are, just like they were with being Dale Earnhardt fans, saying, Haley Deegan's going to be, the next Dale Earnhardt. She's going to be great. She's going to be. Whoa! She's a young girl. Give her a chance. Let's see what she can do. I'm not saying, she can't drive, but don't encourage her bad habits and make that a thing. But either way, good for her, second place. But again, it was Daytona, so that doesn't really results at Daytona don't mean a whole lot. I mean, it's an entertaining race, but good for her. But you look at earlier in the race, they went 3 wide because they were passing a lapped car, and that's what caused their first big wreck.
Mm-hmm.
And they couldn't even go to 3 wide to pass a slow lapped car without getting all over the place. Somebody turned down left into Natalie Decker and took her out, and
And you know what? And Natalie was actually having a good race herself.
She was up to 5th at one point. There.
Yeah, and she was right with Haley Deegan there for a while, and Natalie was having a good race for herself too. And I was hoping she'd have a good race. A couple reasons. I mean, she needs a good run. She hasn't had one. She never finishes races,
Mm-hmm.
But part of the reason I wanted to see her run good is she was in a Ken Schrader car. I always like Kenny Schrader. I think he's a true racer. And there was a Fury car, with the they also build modifieds and everything like that. And the Uris were involved. Tony Uri Jr. and Tony Uri Sr. were involved in that car. So I wanted to see the Uris and the Fury name brand have a good run too. And they did. They had a good run. They just got caught up in the big one. There was nothing she can do about it. But of course, she'll get blamed for wrecking out of another one, But the ARCA race was good. You have a top 10 in the ARCA race, Josh? Or
yeah, I'm going to bring that up in just a second. But I was also going to bring. There was that weird debris. Scott, you said that was some bear bond tape that got stuck up on the outside groove.
I'm glad they didn't call the yellow when there was that debris laying on the back straight. Number one, it was all the way up against the wall. Yeah, people do run up there, but they weren't at that time. They weren't in the pack. They were single file. They were down low. They were far away from it.
Mm-hmm.
And number two, at first they thought it was a piece of rubber coming off a tire, like a tire thread,
right.
But it wasn't. It was a piece of bearer bond. It was lying on the track. Someone ran over it, kicked it up. It looked like it came off his tire. I was praying they didn't throw the yellow flag for a piece of tape on the back straightaway, and I'm glad they went racing. I'm sure they had a spotter back there that knew exactly what it was, and it wasn't a dangerous situation, so they didn't throw the yellow.
Okay. Here's my opinion on that. I think the ARCA officials, I know it's NASCAR now, but if that was a cup race, they would have thrown the yellow.
I'm sure.
They didn't do it for the ARCA race. But
you know what? We can do with that at Wall Stadium on Saturday night. The factory stocks, if there's like a little bit of water or sand or dirt or piece of fender laying on the track, they keep us running. When the modifieds are out there, they throw it quicker.
Hey, there's half an exhaust pipe over there. Yeah, they'll avoid it.
That's the reason I like running the lower divisions. I hate yellow flags. I love it. It's out of the way. Just run it over. Who cares? Let's race.
Now, Scott, it was kind of a single file finish for the ARCA series. Do you think Haley had any chance to make a move? Do you think she should have made a move?
I think she was in the situation where she set her goal. Her goal was to get a top 10 finish in one piece, and she was running second. So she she was right where she wanted to be, if not better.
Okay.
And I think she also felt that the car in front of her was so stout that she wasn't going to make it. The chances of her losing spot were greater than her gaining spots. And then again, it might have been different if she had a teammate up there to help push her or something like that. But I just think she felt content where she was at, and she was happy to finish that race in second. And then she set her goals, if not even did better than what her original goals were. So she stayed right where she was at, and that was it.
Okay. And
That 25 car in front of her was strong. There was times he'd even pull like a car to a length ahead of her. I'm sure if she felt she had enough to do it, she would have tried. But I think she knew she was just doing everything she could just to keep up with him.
Okay.
I mean, there's situations like that when I'm in a race, when I'm running second and I'm like digging just to stay with the guy. Now I know I'm not going to pass him. You know what I'm saying? I'm just hoping he screws up, and that guy didn't. So.
Okay. My only other thing is more a comment on Fox's coverage when they were on that final lap, and you're trying to watch, like, is somebody going to make a move? What's happening? And then they go to a side by side with a shot of somebody's family, to see their reaction.
They try to make it more exciting than it needs to be, and sometimes I'm like you, Josh. Just let me see the race. Just let me watch the race. I don't need the extra stuff. The race is what I tuned in for. Let me watch that. I don't care what Haley Deegan's dad's doing or Haley Deegan's mom's doing. I want to watch the race.
Yeah.
When I watch a race on TV, I've been around racing so long. I guess I'm old school. I just want to feel like I'm sitting in the grandstands watching the race. The only reason I'm watching that race on TV is because I didn't make it to the track to watch it. I don't want it to be any different than me sitting and watching the race. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
And then they're showing Haley Deegan's parents, and why aren't they showing Michael Self's parents? He's the one getting ready to win the race. You know what I'm saying? So that was a little disturbing too.
I think there's just way too much focus on her. And I mean, I see. Look, it's a female. It's rare. She's doing well, great, and all, okay, fine. But I'm not saying she shouldn't be interviewed or they shouldn't be interviewed. But like you said, go to the parents of the winner. You're shorting the wrong people on this stuff.
And unfortunately, when they did finally go to Michael Self, it was just in time to watch him kiss the owner.
I know that. I know you hate that.
Kisses his drivers on the lips when they win, and they need to stop doing that.
That's Elliot's favorite part, right?
Yeah. So we got to see Bill Venturi kiss Michael Self in Victory Lane. Do you have a top 10, Josh? I want to get moving on here.
Oh, yeah. Sorry. I do have it. I just need to. There we go. All right. So Michael Self gets the win, followed by Haley Deegan, as we talked about. Third was Drew Dollar, followed by Sean Core. Thad Moffitt, Jason White, Riley Herbst, Willie Mullins, Brett Holmes, and Scott Melton round out your top 10.
All right, cool. Want to take a break, Josh, and then we'll move on to local?
Yeah, let's do that.
All right, we're going to take a break, and we're going to come back with the local. We're just going to touch a little base on the indoor racing because I did go down there, but it was a couple weeks ago, so I just want to touch base on that real quick, and then we're going to move on to New Smyrna, the new track pass, which I think is awesome. And we're going to talk about the Wall Stadium Banquet and the Wall Stadium schedule. We'll see you guys on the other side of the break.
Okay, now don't be mad.
You're listening to the RPM Podcast.
It's not good.
And we're back. We're back for part 2 after a little break, episode 163 of the RPM Podcast. And now we move on to the local section. I just want to touch base. I did go down to the indoor race. I know it was a couple of weeks ago now. I just wanted to touch base on it a little bit. It was a great show. I mean, the Samus family puts on a great show. There was a good crowd there. It was very enjoyable. It's a cool place to go watch racing. I'm not a huge fan of the indoor racing. It's a lot of wreck and a lot of yellows. One cool thing I left with, Josh, were you down there or no?
I was supposed to be, but I ended up getting stuck working on a tractor.
Tim, did you watch any of it from home?
No, I actually fell asleep.
Yeah. Well, one cool thing I took away from it that they did this year, I don't know if it was new or not, but it was the first time I noticed it. They had something called the cool down zone. So if you wreck somebody, spun them out, they would pull you into this little zone or cool down zone, and you would lose a lap, and then you would catch back up. You know what I'm saying? Or you would go to the rear of the field. Like they would totally call you out and pull you in the cool down zone, and they would announce it was sponsored by somebody, and This way, if you spin somebody out now, they're like, and Ryan, not Ryan, was it Tyler Truex? Tyler Truex was one of them that got it. So he, now Tyler Truex spun this guy rough riding. He's going to pull down into the so-and-so cool down zone. And then they're like, do you think he deserved it? And everybody would cheer and stuff like that. I thought it was pretty cool. I definitely think it would be something cool at Wall Stadium.
Okay.
Cut back on some of the rough riding and spinning people and stuff like that.
Do you think they actually cool down in that time they're sitting there, or do you think they just get angrier knowing that they drop farther back?
A little bit of both.
Okay.
It would definitely show you that the officials are paying attention for rough riding, so you don't do it while you're driving the car because you're going to be pointed out and all that stuff. I liked it. I thought it was a cool idea. I definitely think
I'm more curious of what they would call the cool down zone at Wall Stadium. What would be
anybody can sponsor it, it could be the RPM podcast cool down zone. You know what I'm saying? It did have a sponsor, but I forget what the sponsor was. But it was just something I took away from the weekend down there that I thought was pretty cool, and I definitely think it would be cool, even at the outdoor racing at regular racetracks.
Okay.
The racing itself was pretty good. Andy Jankaliak pretty much had him covered in the TQ midgets. Ryan Flores had a good run. He had to start last in his heat race because he wasn't there. He got there late because he was at a wedding on Friday. He qualified easy. I think he started like 12th and got right up to second, no problem. He qualified, no problem. And he started mid-pack in the feature, and he was running well. Unfortunately, he got caught up in a wreck too, pretty early in the race too, and it pretty much ripped the front end off the car. And at first, Jimmy Blue and all them were attempting to fix it, and then they just threw in the towel, and he didn't make it back out. So that ended Ryan's day. It was pretty good racing. A little pricey though, I thought. Waiting in line to get in, it was $30 a person for a general admission ticket. How do you guys feel about that?
What time were you getting in? Let me ask that.
I think it started at 7:00. I think we're in line at 6:00, 6:30.
Okay, well, because they do have that on-track party thing, right? For an hour.
Yeah, I'm going to that,
because I'm trying to figure that into the. I'm trying to figure that into the worth of the ticket.
Yeah, I mean, you could have won at 5:00 and paid the $30 to go to an on-track party. To me, this sounded a little steep. I mean, for me and Nancy, it was $60 to get in. I mean, we paid it because we're there for the races and we're huge race fans. But we did notice some of the people walking down the boardwalk did walk up to the ticket booth. Just seeing the signs out front and wanted to check out racing. And when they heard $30, they turned around and left.
Yeah, it's too much for the average person like that for $30.
I think if you did like 40 for the pits and then like 20, that sounds a little more.
A good number.
I mean, $30 for an average Saturday night at Wall Stadium is compared to that is very expensive. You know what I'm saying?
And you only get really 3 divisions, right?
You also got to remember too that it's at Atlantic City Convention Hall. It probably costs a lot to be there. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah,
I'm sure it does. I mean, it looks like an expensive building. When you walk in, it feels like you're walking into like a basketball game, like an NBA game or an NHL hockey. I mean, it's professional. Don't get me wrong. A lot of security. The concessions were high. Everything was high there. I'm sure it is very expensive dealing with Atlantic City. I'm sure it's union workers you got to pay for. I understand why he probably has to charge $30, but I'm just saying $30 I think was a little steep for that. And you lost the casual fans. I shouldn't even say casual fans. You lost the casual people walking up the boardwalk that just peeked their head in and see what was going on and was thinking about buying a ticket, and they just turned around and left once they heard $30 a person.
Right.
Yeah.
I can agree with that.
How was the crowd?
Crowd was good. It was decent. I mean, there's still plenty of room for more people. Maybe if you did charge 20, it would have been full. It was a decent crowd, and we sat high up in between corners 3 and 4, and we sat high up, and the fumes were not bad this year. They really weren't. Like when I walked all the way up to the top and sat down. I'm like, this is a good seat. We see good. Then I remember, I'm like, oh my God, we're gonna get killed with the fumes up here. We might have to move down lower. And Nancy's like, well, let's just sit here for a little while and see what happens. And the fumes never bothered us, so we stayed right where we were at.
Okay, that's good. I know it's gotten. I remember one year they even had to just shut all the cars off and wait 10 or 15 minutes to let the air system do its thing. So definitely improvement if the fumes weren't bothering you up there. How was the racing overall for you?
It was pretty good. I did the usual, couple laps, hop a
That
wheel.
race, that racing is what it is. Like Scott said, there's
Indoor
yellows.
racing is what it is. I tell you what, I really enjoyed once Ryan unfortunately wrecked out, I started watching Anthony Cecily because he's also friends of ours. And Anthony had a great race going. It's the best race I've seen him run in the last few years, and he was running great. And unfortunately, with like 5 laps ago, he got caught up in a little bit of a wreck and wrecked out too. But he was running good too. Tim's buddy Eric Rudolph was running good.
Was Andrew running by chance?
Nah, he was down there walking around. He doesn't race the TQs anymore that I
Okay.
know of. Jimmy Blewett stopped racing them. We're starting to lose some of the star power, and we're starting to lose some of the local people. The fields are getting smaller, and the names are getting less known. I think that might hurt a little bit. Like Ryan Priest doesn't do it anymore. Of course, we lost Teddy Christopher, who used to do it. Jimmy Blewett's not doing it anymore. Andrew Krause isn't doing it anymore. So we are losing some of the star power with the racing, but we still have some good stars. Ryan Flores has made a good name for himself with the indoor stuff. You still have Andy Chikaliak, who's really the man to beat now. I even think he's a little bit faster than Ryan now. You still have some good names, like Earl Paul still does it and stuff like that, but I don't want to say it's run its course. It's not as popular as it used to be. It's starting to fade.
I don't think it's jumped the shark yet. I don't think it's. It is what it is. It's indoor racing,
Now, what did you see as far as the slingshots? Do you think that was a better turnout for drivers or names or anything like that?
About the same. I didn't know the guy that won. I didn't really know a lot of the names. Nick Shaw was there. We know Nick Shaw through wall standing. I think he actually started on the pole too.
Mm-hmm.
So yeah, I paid attention to Nick Shaw a little bit. Another name we knew, he's also been on our podcast with us before, was Mike Garback or Chris Garback.
Yeah, Chris Garback.
Chris Garback. Chris and Nancy are good friends. They actually went to Allentown together, watching indoor races when I was away racing, and he qualified and he ran the race. So I watched him. He ran good too, and he was in an 88 car, kind of painted like the Dale Jr. Amp Energy 88 car. So I watched him. He ran good. Other than that, it was just the normal people that race slingshots that I don't really know much of.
Was Neil Rutt down there? He wasn't running this year, right? I think he was down there, but he wasn't running.
He was down there. I seen him in Bally's afterwards, but I don't think he was racing anything.
Okay. I'm trying to think who else might have been
Paul had Jonathan Loray driving his car, and he didn't qualify.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Well, it's tough. A lot of people get sent home.
Oh yeah.
So there's no real lack of cars yet. So you will get full fields. But like you said, there are a lot of cautions and all that.
I tell you what, even if you do get sent home though, and you don't qualify for the A main, you still get a lot of racing because you get like your time trial, practice, heat race. Then they have like a B main and the E main and C main and all that stuff. So you still get the race. You just don't make it to the A main.
I'll tell you, they move things through fast though. I was trying to help out somebody years ago, and they get you on the track, you run your couple laps for practice, and then you're off, and the next group is going out, and there's so much going on and so many cars that they do a pretty good job of getting everybody through. But
even though there's a lot of wrecking, the cleanup's really quick because they have so many track workers there. They just run out, grab the car, and drag it into the middle, and throw a little baby powder down, sweep it up, and then they move on to the next. They throw the green again. The cleanup's very quick there. They have these little carts. They just lift the cart up. They'll even leave the driver right in it. They set it on the cart and push them right into the infield. And
yeah, you see the driver like waving his arms, like, "No, I still want to go. Keep me going." And they wheel him off anyway.
All right, what's top 10? What's the top 10?
I don't know. I have to see if I can find it. I'm busy looking at Greg Biffle's boat here, thanks to you guys.
We'll get to that. All right.
Don't even worry about the top 10, Josh. Everybody probably knows it by now anyway.
Okay. Yeah, you're right.
Right.
But so what was your favorite race of the night?
What, down there?
Yeah.
It's usually slingshots, but I tell you what, the TQs did put the best show on that night.
Okay.
There was a little bit of controversy in the champ kart race, Tim. Did you hear anything about that?
No.
The kid that won was from South Carolina. He pretty much smoked him. Well, he gets out in victory lane and he stands up on his roof bars, celebrating the win like you would, climb up on your roof and celebrate. Well, he had sneakers on and not race shoes on.
Really?
Yeah, people were complaining that he should have been disqualified because he didn't have racing shoes on. And
well, no, he shouldn't have been let out on the track, but once he was out there.
Yeah.
Yeah, I don't think that was cheating as in like a weight rule. I mean, yes, it was a safety problem, but he wasn't.
And then some people are saying in the state of New Jersey you have to run with racing shoes on, which that's the rules I follow. I always run with racing shoes on. Number one, I've gone out in my race car with sneakers on, and it feels weird to me because I'm so used to wearing racing shoes. It's kind of like going bowling with sneakers on and not bowling shoes on. You know what I'm saying?
Mm-hmm.
I prefer wearing racing shoes, not just a safety thing. I like the feel of them, that they're designed so you can feel the pedals better. But then some people were saying in go-kart racing, you don't have to wear racing shoes because there's nothing in front of you to catch fire.
I've raced go-karts at at Englishtown with my sneakers.
I think.
What do your kids wear?
Oh, they wear. Oh, they got racing shoes. Don't you worry about that.
Do they have to have racing shoes though?
I think it's what are the word they like to use? Suggested. Or oh no, Bailey's got. She had to have red matching shoes, and they got it all.
So I don't know. I mean, if I was the Salmonses, what I would have done in that, because a lot of people are saying, well, now Lenny Salmons isn't following his own written rules, and some people did post the entry forms and it said you must have racing shoes, and then some people posted rules that said you don't need racing shoes in the state of New Jersey in a go-kart. But what I would have done, I would have fined them like $50. You know what I'm saying? This way you're not taking the win away, but you're still penalizing them because he didn't follow your written rule.
It's an encumbered win.
We go back to that. But yeah, that was one of the controversies that came from there. And we did see the kid at Chicky and Pete's, the kid that won afterwards at the races, and he said they were trying to take the win away from him. I said, you know what you do? He's like, what's that? I said, did you go sign for your money? Yeah. Did you get paid? He's like, yeah. I said, you're the winner. There's nothing they can do. I said, as soon as you sign that paper that you won the race and you got the money, it's over with.
Yeah.
Don't worry about it.
That's interesting, though.
I don't think he should have lost the race. A fine's a good.
This way it would have made everybody happy.
But like I said, somebody didn't do their job in the pit area.
I'm following my rules, and he got fined $50.
Well, that's what I'm saying. He's getting penalized because he might not have known.
He's from South Carolina.
Yeah, where he races, they probably don't even need a fire suit.
Right.
So somebody didn't do their job in the pit area. One of the superstar officials walking around thinking there's something, didn't do their job.
I would blame Sam, but I mean, he was probably already on his way down to Florida.
All right, so we're going to move on to New Smyrna. There's a lot of racing going on down south. We have a lot of friends racing down that way. They got a new thing called Track Pass. It's similar to what Fans Choice TV was last year, but now it's called Track Pass. It's through NBC Sports. The only bad thing is you have to pay for it, but I think it's very reasonably priced. It's only $3 per month or $19 for the year, or if you want the all-access Track Pass, it's like $50 for a whole year of racing. I think it's well worth the money. It's so affordable. Josh didn't even try to steal it. He actually just paid for it, which is very rare in this time of age. But I love it. I think it's great. I don't mind paying a couple bucks for it. I heard the track actually makes a little bit of money from NBC Sports. There's a little kickback there. I've been watching it every night. I love it. It's so cool.
You've already got your $20 worth.
Yeah, I already got it. The race last night, I mean, the K&N race called Arca East now or whatever it's called, they had a 175 lapper last night and an awesome 50 lap modified race last night. That was worth $19 right there for me already,
Plus, you get the full modified series.
You get the full modified tour. You get all the Arca races. And with the all-access pass, we also get to see flat track racing, which is motorcycles, the IMSA Weather Tech road course racing stuff, which I really don't care about, but I will watch it. I already paid for it. And you get all the documentaries. I watched all the documentaries. They had the Richie Evans Hall of Fame thing, all that stuff. I watched that stuff already. Tim's right. I feel like I got my money's worth already. And we're on
one race, you get your money's worth.
Well, I'm
What's
going to
that?
say,
One race. I mean, you can't go to New Smyrna and watch that race last night for $20.
And you know what? It's funny because Ron Becker, he's turned into a super fan. He's been doing a lot of travel, and he likes dirt and asphalt. And we kind of signed up together. And at first I signed up for just the track pass, the $19 one, and then I'm like, you know what? I'll upgrade to the all access thing. So I upgraded, and he upgraded too because he wanted to watch Dirt Vision for one night of dirt race, and they wanted $25 to watch one night. You know,
wow.
so NBC Sports is doing a great job, and they made it affordable. Yeah, the value is great, and I hope they stick at this cheap value and don't get greedy and raise it and all that stuff. I think they're doing good with it.
How's the quality been?
Fine.
The quality was great until last night. Last night it got a little shady.
They had a little technical with the sound.
Yeah. Well, I think that was on the production end from the track, not in the transmission.
Right.
Yeah.
The first couple of nights, I'm like, this is better than Fans Choice. It's clear. It doesn't go into that buffering mode that we had trouble with Fans Choice. It doesn't do that anymore. It was working great until Tim's buddy Derek.
Yeah.
What's his last name? Persigliano.
Yep.
Derek got down there and he was having all sorts of trouble. I mean, they had the camera on him. He's talking. We can't hear him. Then he's talking and we can't hear him. He doesn't know the camera's on. He struggled a little bit last night.
Now, knowing him, he's he's dead serious about that stuff. He's a perfectionist with all that. He wants to be professional. He must have been so pissed off. He posted on his Facebook page. He was up till 4:30 in the morning and had to leave there at 6:30. So, like I told you before, he must have made up for it at Merck's afterwards after the races were over.
Wow.
But yeah, we hope to have this up tonight or tomorrow morning. Just for anybody that's interested, you got to load the NBC Sports app on your phone. Go to NBCSports.com and just sign up for the track pass. It's worth every penny of it. A lot of our friends are racing down south. Just to rattle off a few names in the modifieds. Of course, we have Jimmy Blewett. Jimmy Blewett's down there. Adam Cicero decided to take his Wall Stadium modified down there. I did talk to Adam. He took the 2-barrel off. He has to run at Wall Stadium, and they allowed him to run a 750 4-barrel carburetor. So that's what he's down. He knows he's underpowered, but he always wanted to go to the World Series and race at New Smyrna. So he went down with his wall motor with a 750 Holly 4-barrel on his car. So he's down there having some fun. Eddie McCarthy, who races Wall Stadium, him and Billy Cole built a brand new Fury race car. Beautiful car. I'm pretty sure he doesn't have much experience in a full-blown modified. And I don't even think he's ever raced a track bigger than Wall Stadium.
He did well in practice and everything.
He did well. I think the one time he was like 7th fastest. I think he qualified 11th fastest. And he hung around the top 10 the whole night. So with a brand new car, and my hat's off to Bill Cole for putting a great car together, because they built that thing from scratch, and they're down there and they're not having like major problems or anything like that. So they're down there running. We got Richie Parker, who's been around for a while. He races with Al Voorhees. They're down there. Anthony Sesley's down there with a beautiful number 16 modified. He's down there racing. So we got quite a few people from New Jersey, and then there's that. Tim, you have to help me with this kid. The kid that raced the Tour, the Joey
D, just call him.
Oh, DeGracia?
Yeah, Joey DeGracia is down there, and our buddy Chris Gall down there helping him.
I think I saw Chris on TV last night.
Yeah, he's down there working, right? He's down there doing the tires.
Yeah, I think he was doing I think he had the jack last night because Joe got caught up in. They said somebody ran into him. I think.
Yeah, you got a left rear flat.
Yeah. So.
I mean, we got a lot of Wall Stadium people down there racing. So if you get the track pass and if you're watching, you'll see a lot of names you recognize. And it's a great race, man. Last night, how cool was that race last night, Tim, with Matt Hirschman trying to pass on the outside, right down to the line where he lost by a bumper. It was a great race.
He definitely showed that he was the fastest car there. I mean, he ran that guy down, in 5 laps? Mm-hmm. Tried to pass him on the outside on the last lap.
It was an enjoyable race to watch, and that means a lot coming from me because it was modifieds.
Yeah.
New Smyrna is my favorite place to watch a modified
But Josh,
race.
you know how we always told you that you need to go to a modified race at Thompson? Thompson and New Smyrna are very similar.
Okay.
Thompson's a touch bigger, but they race very similar, and the setups are very similar. If you read Richie Evans' book, he used to call New Smyrna the Thompson of the South.
Okay.
And he also said in his book that New Smyrna is the perfect racetrack for a modified.
All
And
right.
I think the racing we watch there is, makes it, lines up with Richie Evans saying, by him saying that New Smyrna is the perfect modified racetrack.
Well, after watching, while watching the K&N Series race before that, which in itself was actually pretty good.
I feel like that K&N race went by pretty quick, man.
Yeah.
When they first said it was 175 laps, I'm like, man, we're going to be here a while. And it went by pretty quick. I thought that was a good race as well.
Even with that red flag, right? That guy that got ups on his side and all that. But I mean, personally, I was going to say that track could use a little bit more banking, but the
that
modified
track has
race,
plenty of banking.
Yeah?
Yeah, when you go there in person, that track's got a nice amount of banking.
Yeah, why don't fix something that ain't broke. The racing's good
Trust me, Josh, if you ever went there, you'd be like, oh my God, this thing's banked pretty good.
Okay. I guess it just doesn't show up on TV that well.
And I tell you what, that's the best crowd I've seen at New Smyrna in a while.
On a Monday. Yeah,
on a Monday, that place was packed. Usually it does fill up towards the end of the week, Josh, because a lot of people aren't down there yet. A lot of people head to speed weeks around Wednesday or Thursday, so the short
Wednesday and Fridays are usually for the modifieds.
Yeah,
the best 2 nights.
For that place to be pretty much sold out for a Monday night was pretty awesome to see. So it's also showing you that this track pass thing isn't hurting the attendance either. It's a little bit of the best of both worlds because, I mean, Josh, you want to be in Florida watching the race, so they're not losing a ticket sale there, but you're at home paying your $3 a month, and the track's getting a little kickback, so they're making money there. I mean, I have friends up in New Hampshire. They're all watching it. I think it's awesome. It's a great deal.
With Fans Choice, whatever, it was free before, but I don't mind paying a couple dollars to help out. I mean, it's the same as I prefer streaming a lot of my shows instead of watching them when they're live. I'll still watch the commercial. I know somebody's got to make money to produce all this stuff and to pay for the transmission and all that. I don't mind a couple commercials here and there. Just don't, rape me on this stuff.
And I don't mind paying a little bit, but don't charge me $25 a night. I think $20 for the year or $50 for the all access pass is a great deal. Like I was just saying about the indoor racing, I thought it was a little pricey at $30. Sometimes you make things a little bit cheaper. You make more money because you have more sales.
Exactly.
If this track pass was $200 a year, I wouldn't have done it, but $50 a year, I'll do it. $20 for a year, I'll do it. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
I think it's perfect. It's going great. I'm really enjoying it. And here's another cool thing without, it's sounding like a commercial for Track Pass. Sunday night, I was at the Wall Stadium Banquet, so I didn't not watch Sunday night's events. Monday morning, I'm driving around in my tow truck, go on Track Pass. They have the whole replay. You can go and watch it. You don't have to watch it when it happens. You can watch it the next day if you're, at an event or at the races yourself. That's like, I thought it too. I'm like, well, I'll get the whole modified tour, but I won't be able to watch the races because I'll be at Wall Stadium racing. Well, now, say my brother's at Riverhead spot for a modified tour race on a Saturday night and I'm racing Wall Stadium. Well, guess what? Sunday morning when I'm unloading the race car stuff, I can go in there and watch the race on the replay.
Yeah.
Hey, Sunday morning, wake up, have your coffee, watch the race.
Yeah. It's a great deal. If anybody's thinking about doing it on the fence, just get off the fence and do it. It's a great deal.
One night pays for itself.
One night pays for itself. Yeah. I just hope, like NASCAR and everything else, they get greedy and start overcharging. Right now, it's almost like they're just charging enough so you have to sign up for it. Like, it's not even like
they're making you buy it at that price.
Yeah.
You figure they already have the cameras down there. They're already transmitting this feed and running the audio and everything to it. You're just paying for your portion of accessing it, and any little bit extra is just going to go and help and to show that people are interested in this. So I mean, for me, it's almost like by me paying that and showing that do more of this instead of less. And Scott, like, I know you're not huge on the IMSA and stuff like that, but just like when we used to have Speed Channel, when there was nothing else on, you could just put Speed Channel on and there would be something racing related. So now,
when we were kids, do you remember ESPN? They always had IMSA on with Lee T. Ribbs and all them guys. That was great racing.
I just think that, like, Scott's out in his garage or something like that. It may not be something that he, loves, but it's still racing. It's better than putting a football game on for him.
You know what's cool about that IMSA WeatherTech Racing Series, though? There's always somebody in the field I want to watch. Like Tim was saying, Juan Pablo Montoya's been doing it. AJ Allmendinger's been doing it. So that's how I watch those races, Josh. Like you said, it's some type of race, and there's nothing else on. I might as well watch it. Then I look to see who's in it, and then I'll pick somebody. You know what I'm saying? I know that name from NASCAR. I know that name from IndyCar. You know, I'll watch this guy, and that's the team I pick, and that's the team I
Does Scott Pruitt still race?
I think he finally retired.
Finally. Yeah. I haven't seen his name come up in a while, but it hasn't been a long while, that's for sure.
All right, so that's pretty much what I want to talk about in New Smyrna. I don't want to get into, top tens or anything like that because there's so much racing going on down there. I just wanted to let everybody know about the Track Pass deal and to subscribe and start watching. You can watch tonight. Tonight's 35-lap modified tour race. The pro late models are good down there. Super late models are good down there.
Well,
the only thing I want to say about that is if you put your computer on exactly at 7:30 and it's not on yet, don't panic. You know what I mean? They start when
you
the
have
race
to refresh a couple of times. They advertise that they come on at 7:30, but if you're on there and they're not on yet, just wait a little bit because it will come on when they finally at the track themselves. They might be behind schedule a little bit, so as soon as it comes on, they put it on.
Yeah.
Well, I know last night the race was scheduled for 7:40 or 7:50. So when I actually checked, it said 7:50 that it would come on, and sure enough, 7:50 that screen changed colors. It went from coverage will begin soon to I think it was a black screen for a few seconds, but then it came up and they're pretty.
So people
good
like at 7:35 were on Facebook. Mine's not working. It'll come on. It comes on.
Oh, it's better than what was it when we lost the audio or video that no we had the audio, but it went to like a basketball game for the end of that one race. Like, what is going on? No. I'm sorry. We got that FS1 logo that came up on the screen. That's what it was.
Oh yeah, we're like 2 laps to go or something like that.
I know that ticked off a lot of people. So hopefully Fox will learn their lesson with that garbage. But but the NBC Sports and it's part of the gold package. But it's not just a single gold package. I mean, unless you pay, because I was looking, there's like different packages for like winter sports and I don't know.
There's golf, there's IndyCar, there's all sorts of stuff. Yeah. I just want.
So, I mean, you'd probably, if you go for every package, you're going to be out a lot of money. But if you're just interested in the racing, it's absolutely worth it. And I even give my dad my login, so he's been able to watch the night's racing.
I didn't really want to talk about this, but they're not real strict about it either. I have gave Nancy my password, and she's logged in through her phone and not my phone. Sometimes they're real strict about that. You can only log in through one device at a time, and they're really not that strict with it.
I'm not suggesting.
The other thing I saw, Josh, is they are strict about it. The people in Canada can't get it. Why do you think that is?
That makes no sense.
Yeah.
Well, remember when Howard first went on Sirius satellite radio, they couldn't get it in Canada.
Really?
Yeah.
I mean, unless there's something.
And I feel bad for the people in Canada because there is a lot of Canadians racing at New Smyrna.
Well, they played the Canadian national anthem.
Yeah.
They always do. Those late models now bring a lot of Canadians.
Yeah.
Yeah, it makes no sense. But then again, if they use like a VPN or virtual private network on their computer, then the computer or the provider wouldn't know that they're from Canada, and they might be able to skirt the system and watch anyway. Which, for something like that, it's not like you're going onto the black web or the dark web or whatever it is.
I'm sure once this gets up and running more, NBC will get it set up so the Canadian people can get it as well,
Yeah, I can't imagine any reason why they should be excluded from it.
Because they're Canadians, that's why.
Okay, then, eh?
Hey, they don't share their special Oreo cookies with us. We're not showing.
Yeah. Screw them.
All right, guys. Another exciting so that's our New Smyrna thing. A lot of racing going on down there. It's we just want to let you know, get Track Pass, start watching. We're going to talk about it next week too. Another thing that happened while we were gone, the Wall Stadium Speedway schedule came out, and it looks great. Josh, did you have a chance to look at it?
I took a quick peek. I saw that the factory stocks are going to be on every week.
Factory stocks are on every Saturday.
That is I mean, I don't want to call it grueling, but that's a tough schedule. That's a lot of races.
So once again, that pretty much proves that the factory stocks are the best division at the racetrack, and count dwindles if they're not there. But what she did, I don't know if I like this or not, and I'll let you know more as the season goes on because I might have to use it, I may not have to. She did put the factory stocks on every weekend, but what she did for us, if you don't want to race every weekend, you can drop 3 races. So you can either not go and drop the race, or drop, if you're on all the races, then you drop your 3 worst finishes. Of course, I'll go every week, and then at the end of the year, I'll have an insurance, and I'll drop my last 3 races. Or, God forbid a motor blows and I can't get a new one in time, I can miss a race and get my car fixed. Or if you have a wedding to go to or a vacation plan, you can go. Personally, I don't like it. You decide at the beginning of the year if you're racing for points or not. If you're racing for points, then you're there every week. If you're not racing for points and you want to go on vacation, you go on vacation. Thing I don't like about it is it makes it confusing. You can go on the last night and you can have your points, and Tim Majak can be leading points, Elliott Wall can be second, I can be third, but you really don't know until it's over, and then you figure out everybody's worst finish or drop races. It makes it makes something that's confusing even more confusing. But whatever.
My problem is if there was a night that I was going to go away, say I go camping or something, that would be the night that only half the cars show up for whatever reason, and I could have gotten an easy.
No problem.
Yeah, exactly.
You know what? Then don't go camping. Either you're racing or you're going camping.
Well, yeah.
I don't want to hear it. It's all bullcrap. They do it on Sunday series. It's bullcrap. If you want to run for points, you run every damn week. You're there every week. You support the racetrack. That's crap. You want to go camping, go camping. If your car blows up on one week, oh well, that's racing. You know what I mean? Richie Evans and Richard Petty didn't drop a race to win a damn championship.
Nope.
Screw that. That's not racing.
Yeah.
That's let every kid get a trophy.
But she didn't look at it that way. I did talk to her about at Banquet Band. She just said, listen, I put the factory songs on every week, and then you guys decide what weekends you don't want to race. I don't know. Whatever. I'm going to be there every weekend, so it doesn't matter to me. And then my 3 worst finishes I'll be able to drop. Another thing I noticed, they're closed on Memorial Day weekend, and they're closed on 4th of July weekend.
Huh.
Wow. Must be a reason for that.
She's been doing this long enough now. She might realize she doesn't make money on those weekends.
That's fine. That's actually good because then you can go enjoy that's when you go camping.
Weekends.
Yeah, then you go to somebody's pool party or something.
And of course, me, as soon as I saw that we were off Memorial Day weekend.
Yeah, where are you going? Ohio?
Yeah, I started looking around to find trucks that are racing on those weekends. So there'll be travel races for me.
Now, 4th of July, I think I would totally get because if the track was able to do fireworks, if the township would allow them, then they'd have something.
People, I don't know why people are so amazed at fireworks. It's the same thing. No matter where you go watch.
They're pretty, Scott. They're pretty.
I don't know. There's a saying about fireworks, but I don't want to say it on the air. But
I like fireworks.
I like them too, but you don't have to miss a race on 4th of July to go watch fireworks.
Well,
basically, 4th of July is turning into like St. Patrick's Day. Like they celebrate it for 2 weeks. There's fireworks like every night of the week at the beach. You know what I'm saying? Like, I don't know.
But I just need another excuse to drink.
I noticed with Diane, if 4th of July, the 4th itself is on a Saturday, she doesn't race. You know what I'm saying? She can't compete with that. People are
I'm okay with that. Give me something, yeah.
But that's a smart decision on her part. It's not her.
Right. So, by giving us Memorial Day weekend off, it gives us a nice break. 4th of July weekend, it gives us a nice break. And obviously, her fan counts dwindle on those weekends because people have other plans. So she gave us the weekends off. And so there's our weekends off. Another highlight of the schedule, Tim's favorite race of the year, July 11th, is his beloved Modified Tour is back on the schedule.
That's good. Somebody said no spooky spectacular?
Yeah, I was working my way down to that, but if you
I'm
want to skip
sorry.
ahead, we can. My brother just mentioned, and as of right now, there's nothing scheduled for Spooky Spectacular. And there again, I think that's a money thing because she tried it with modifieds and without modifieds, and the crowds aren't that great for that race. And really, the car counts dwindle a little bit too because a lot of people, it's not a points race. They already had enough racing. You know, the racing season really just got over a week or two ago.
I think that right there was the reason because when the season ended in September, now
You
it
had a
was not
break.
till the end of October, so you had 3 weeks off usually. Here it's like one, maybe two, and like
Now she races into October, so then she has Spooky like the second or third week of October to stay off the holiday weekend, the Halloween weekend. You really didn't miss racing it enough yet by then. You know what I'm saying?
yeah,
You're
a
still
lot of people
pretty
are
much wore out from the season.
yes.
I wasn't. I mean, I was there, but yeah, you know, we're Turkey Derby. You kind of missed it by then because you're separated from it long enough. You know, so as of right now, I don't know if she's going to add it on, but as of right now, it looks like there's no Spooky. Because I remember being at Spooky last year, and the car counts were low and the fan counts were low. So I think she finally scrapped the October race, which again is fine with me because there's plenty of racing going on in October at other racetracks. I mean, that's when the dirt schedules really start ramping up. These end of the year races like Above Mountain and Mahoney Valley and the modified tour. And I mean, racing's real cool in the fall, and it's cool to not to have points involved, and you get to do a little travel. And then,
Other than the Garden State Classic, is there any other long distance modified races?
yeah, of course, the Cliff Krause race, the 127 lap race, which is paying like $7,127 to win again. So that's a big weekend. They have this. They're calling it the Summer Thunder, which is the Summer Scorcher last year. That's a 100 lap modified race. Then there's June 13th is the Garden State Classic. That's a 125 lap modified race. So yeah, we have 3 big modified races, not
That's
including
enough. That's all you need. Yeah, that's all you
yeah,
need.
that spreads it out enough.
5 lapper, 100 lapper, and 127 lapper during the week during the year.
I will say, was it last year or this past season? All the lower divisions still had 27 lap features, but it looked like there was only 25 laps this year for the Cliff Krause Memorial.
But that's something she can change the day of.
Okay,
You know,
I think keeping it. I think 27 laps is perfect because you're only adding 2 laps to all the regular features. It's not a big deal, and
it symbolizes Cliff Krause. You know,
exactly.
That was his number, and that was his favorite number. You know. And I really liked the 27 laps because I was running second at lap 26, and I made the pass for the lead and the win on lap 27. So I actually needed those extra 2 laps. Got me my one and only win this year over at Wall Stadium. So I have a feeling that'll change to 27 laps too.
I do want to give kudos to whoever did the schedule page for the website. Because next to each race, they have like a little thumbnail for ladies' night. They have a girl in the racing helmet. For the carnival night, they have a carnival picture. The Summer Thunder race, there's a picture of a lightning bolt. It's just little things. Somebody spent a little extra time to put this together and make it look right, and that is appreciated.
The printed version is very well laid out and very easy to read. I've been on some of these track schedules looking at dates and stuff, and the schedules are very hard to read because they're more worried about putting their sponsor names in there than the event itself. You know, it would be like the Pepsi zero calorie lemon flavored 100 lapper, you know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Like where this is pretty cut and dry and we can see it. You know, I don't need the fancy stuff. I just wanted to see where I'm racing when I'm not racing. Only 2 demo derbies during the year this year, and then the demo derby at Turkey Derby. So there's 3 demolition derbies, which is kind of good. It spaces it out a little bit, give guys time to build cars and have a bigger car count. Because the car counts have been getting better with the demolition derbies over there.
And the fans always support
Fans
the demo
love
derby.
it, man. They love it.
I wish they would, maybe not once a month, but maybe like once every 2 months, you guys have a Saturday night off and do the Sunday demo derby in the factory stock on Sunday.
Yeah, I remember they did a demo derby on I want to say it was Memorial Day a couple of years ago, and I know a lot of the drivers weren't happy for whatever reason.
one thing about the demo derbies, they're great, but about time they do the whole racing night, and then set the arena up. The girls are tired. They want to watch the demo,
Yeah.
but they're tired. You know what
They
I
wanna
mean?
leave.
Where
Yeah.
if you do it on a Sunday with the factory stocks, you start at 1 o'clock. The factory stocks are over by 2. 2:30 your demo derby, and you know what I mean?
I
Yeah.
agree. You can have a factory stock race, like a legend car race, and then a demo derby. It'd be
Yeah.
a cool Sunday. That'd be awesome.
hmm
I just want to say March 23rd is Tech and Tires. You can bring your car over there and get tech or go get tires. And then there's 3 practices at the beginning of the year. There's April 4th, April 11th, April 18th for practice too. And then April 25th is opening night, and the final championship night is October 3rd. So we got a busy schedule over there.
Wait. April 25th. I thought you said 28th for a minute.
April 25th is opening day, and then the final championship night is October 3rd. So we got plenty of racing at Wall Stadium.
And it's
Only thing
Dollar
I was a
Dog
little-
Night.
Yeah.
$20 dog nights, all that stuff.
But she does a great job with all that stuff.
Yeah, she's really doing good with that. The only thing I'm a little bit disappointed about in this, and one thing I noticed too, Josh, no triples for the factory stocks this year.
Oh.
Well, that probably goes because you're running every week too.
Yeah, that we were running every week, and we do have a 50 lappers and a few twins. The one rumor I heard, and I was really looking forward to it, but then it didn't come true. I heard just to let everybody know, this is the 70th anniversary year at Wall Stadium. So this is the 70th year they've been in business over there.
Wow.
One of the rumors I heard was each division was going to have a 70 lap feature in the course of the year, which I thought would have been awesome, having a 70 lap factory stock race.
Oh, yeah.
And for some reason that didn't come true. I think it would have been cool to give the modifieds a 70 lap or a sportsman's a 70 lap, not on the same night, in the course of the year, every division get a 70 lap feature, maybe not the late models.
Yeah, I remember years ago, I want to say it was when Jim Morton was running the track, they did have a 75 lapper for the factory stocks. And I was wondering how many cars were going to be left, because that was back when the factory stocks were
junk.
Yeah.
So,
I didn't think they'd survive.
So just to let everyone know, the Wall Stadium schedule is finally up. It did take a little while. She said she was having some trouble with the her website. That's why it took a little while to get up, but it is up now. It looks great. Plenty of racing over there. So if anybody wants to see the schedule, maybe Josh, you can post it on our RPM Podcast Facebook page.
Sure.
Or my brother can do that.
I'll do that right now, actually.
Yeah, we'll post it on there. Plus, it's on Wall Stadium, wallspeedwayracing.com. It's posted up there, so go check it out and come support us.
Yeah, support everyone. It's a good place, good food, and a lot of fun.
I'm a little disappointed. The next thing we want to talk about, and moving on from the Wall Stadium Speedway schedule, is the Banquet. I did go to the Banquet Sunday night. I should have bought the program home from the Banquet, and I didn't. This is the only year I never bought one home. I could have read off all the award winners, but we all know who they are. The Wall Stadium Banquet was, again, Sunday afternoon. It was over at the Eagle Oaks Country Club in Farmingdale. It used to be called Shore Oaks. It's across the street from Tom's Tavern. We have it there every year. Great banquet. There was 260 people in attendance there. The open bar, a couple-hour open bar, buffet. They didn't have a comedian this year, Josh. They called him a mentalist. He was kind of like a psychic or whatever.
Oh, okay. How was that?
It was good. It was the first 20 minutes, 30 minutes of it was great, but he went like an hour. He went a little long. It got a little stale, and he started losing the crowd a little bit.
Okay.
It should have only been about 20 minutes, 30 minutes. It was good. He always grabs somebody from the crowd, and makes a joke out of him. This year, Darianne McLaren, she was one of the people picked out of the crowd, and it was pretty amazing what he did with her. And I did go to dinner with Darianne after the banquet. A bunch of us went over to Pete and Elda's, and I sat with Darianne and her family. And I asked Darianne, I said, was that real? And she's like, Scott, it was real. I still have the paper in my pocket, and I'm still floored about it. Like, it was pretty amazing what he did with her. It's kind of hard to explain, but he had something in a sealed envelope, and when he did like this whole thing, like pick a number through 1 through 100.
The three-way.
The number was 20, so whoever was the closest to 20, he drew out of the crowd, and she picked 18 because that's her car number, and he drew her out of the crowd, and because she was only 2 off, and then he opened up this envelope, and it said the girl who would pick closest to this number was wearing like this colored dress, and everybody's like, big deal. But her dress would be showing off her sunflower tattoo on her arm. She has a flower tattoo on her arm. And then the big thing that floored everybody, you gotta remember, he pulled this out of a sealed envelope, you know? And the big thing, because everybody's like, yeah, but she didn't pick 20, she picked 18. And, you know, he's not a psychic because he didn't pick the right number. And then the last thing he said was, and she was going to be 2 numbers off of the number 20. So it was pretty weird. And then he asked if anybody was a non-believer, and Chris Andretta, Bubba, which Tim spots for in the modified division, he raised his hand and said, I'm not a believer. So he pulled Chris up in front of the crowd and got him on the floor and everything. And he said, listen, just, you know, here's a piece of paper, you know, write down a person, place, or a thing. Anything you want, just write it down on a piece of paper. Chris wrote it on a piece of paper, folded it up, put it in his pocket. They did the whole like schmeal thing and like this whole stare into my eyes and follow my hands and look at me and do all this stuff. And the guy said, take out your piece of paper. I'm gonna write down. He had like this big card, you know, big piece of notebook with big paper on it.
Okay.
And he wrote, the psychic wrote real big on the pad of paper what he thought it was, and he held it up against his chest. He said, all right, Chris, show the crowd what you wrote down. And Chris held up and it said pasta. So the guy took away from his chest and held it up, and he wrote pasta on it.
No way.
Yeah, it was pretty incredible, man. And we went to.
Why would he write pizza?
I said to Nancy, I'm a psychic. He's going to write down pizza. You know, while it was going on.
Yeah.
Because, you know, Chris, you know, his family sold pizza for a living, and they do very well with a pizzeria, you know. So it's going to be pizza. And I was close. It was pasta, you know, it was real close. But it was pretty amazing, you know. And then Josh, the girl that used to help us with the podcast, Hannah.
Okay.
And, Dia Martino is her last name.
Yes.
She also got drawn from the crowd, and he gave her a book, like just a book, you know, like a big book, you know. He said, flip through any page you want. Stop flipping the page whenever you feel like it, right? Go run your finger down that page, pick out any word over 10 letters, a big word. He wanted a big word, you know. Circle it, fold the page over, hold the book. And he did a whole thing, like waving his hands and staring into her eyes. And same thing. Takes a piece of paper, he writes down the word. He writes down unbelievable, shows it to the whole crowd, right? Unbelievable, right? So like, all right, Hannah, open up your page and let's see the word you circled in the book. And it was unbelievable. It was weird. So anyway, I'm sitting with Kevin Flores, who drives the 86 factory stock at Wall Stadium. He's been on the show with us. He's part of the pretty well-known Flores racing family in New Jersey. And I'm sitting with his wife. First time I ever met his wife. I mean, you know her name. She's got a very different name.
No, I'm sorry, I don't.
It's like Granita or something like that. Very nice girl. We're talking. She has 2 young children, and she was very excited to have a night out, you know, with no kids. And her and Kevin were having a great time sitting at her table. And she's not a believer. She doesn't believe it. She wasn't believing nothing. Everything's fixed. We don't believe it. So anyway, the guy was real cool. Even when he was done, like he signed off, he stood like at the back of the room, like at a table and just hanging out. So Nancy and Kevin's wife walked over, and Nancy, she talks to anybody, very outgoing. Yeah. Nancy just went right up to the guy and said, "Hey, this is my friend. She don't believe you. She thinks you're full of crap." The guy's like, "Fine, yeah, that's fine." So now he's done. He did his hour. He got paid from Diane. He's just there on his own time now, hanging out.
Yeah,
no problem. He's like, "Okay, take your cell phone and Google something. Person, place, or thing. Just Google anything that comes in mind. Google anything you want." So Kevin's wife does it. She Googles something. He's like, "Google it, hold it to your chest." He takes a business card out of his business card, whatever his psychic name is or whatever, pulls his business card out, has a Sharpie in his pen, writes a word on the back of his business card, hands it to her, says, "That's what you Googled." It was squirrel. She Googled squirrel, and he wrote on the back of the business card and handed it to her, and it was squirrel.
I get all that, but how come this guy is a millionaire? Like, how can he not win the lottery? How can he not win the lottery?
And like during it, there was a few funny things too. It's like, all right, well, which one are you, the driver? Well, you're the psychic. You should know that. You know what I'm saying? Like, well, why isn't he picking lottery numbers the next day and stuff like that?
Or who's going to win the next Super Bowl? Or you know what I mean?
Tim, I mean, you've spent time with Kevin and his wife, and you know her. She's a super, smart, pretty honest girl. And I saw her out by the bathrooms later. I said, "I seen you and Nancy over with the psychic." She's like, "Scott, my head's spinning right now." She's like, "I went from a total non-believer to like, I feel weird." She's like, "He did it. Like she's like, look, here's my phone. I put squirrel in it, and he picked out squirrel."
Oh, excuse me.
Yeah. My phone, and she's like, "My phone never left my hand. I held it close, put squirrel in. I just hit send or enter, this way it was saved in her phone," and she held it up against her chest where he could not see it. And he simply took a business card out of it and wrote squirrel and handed it to her. And she's like, "I can't believe it." Yeah.
That's
awesome.
I don't know. I actually wanted to go. I had initially a toss-up of going to the Banquet or heading down to Virginia for a rocket launch. Luckily, I didn't drive to Virginia because the rocket didn't go off.
Didn't it? That was supposed to be visible from New Jersey as well, too, right?
Yeah, we're up the next night or something.
They had to abort for whatever reason, technical garbage. It's going to go off Thursday. There was a separate launch later Sunday night down in Florida.
Because a lot of people that were in Florida posted something going on.
Yeah, that was a different launch. That was a solar probe that was going up.
Josh, going back to. Okay, I thought you were done. Good.
Oh no, I was going to say so I'm glad I didn't drive to Florida. I ended up not going to the Banquet. I ended up taking a friend to the hospital and I was there all night. But yeah, luckily everyone's okay. But I was busy, unfortunately. So anyway, go ahead, Tim. What was that?
I was going to ask you, do you ever go to Pete Nellis for pizza?
I have yet to go there. I've driven by it a couple times, but I haven't actually stopped in yet.
Scott's going to have to take us in for RPM dinner one night, and you can try it.
Oh, RPM dinner with racers?
Yeah. We should go there and interview Boa.
We could do that. Honestly, if it wouldn't be that bad as long as I get the proper mics and recorders on everybody. And
the problem with Pete Nellis, man, is it's small and it's a very big business.
Mm-hmm.
If there's an empty space, there's a table there. Do you know what I mean?
I got you. Well, if we do it right, it's possible. But I'm going to need to let me.
The off season, you can we showed up Sunday night at 8:00 and we had like 25 people, and they set up a room for us.
Bubba would do that. We'd get a couple of race car drivers. How we know his friends that are race car drivers and have a RPM podcast there one night.
Let me work out the details because I'm going to need to buy some equipment for that. But it is possible. It'd be more like when we hung out with those enduro guys at Motorsports.
That worked out good.
That worked out great. But that was still a big setup. But if we want to do it around a dinner table, I'm going to have to do a little bit different. But yeah, we'll work that out as we go along. And that's going to be I'm going to have to buy some new stuff, which is why people should send us money.
Another thing I want to mention about the Banquet. Diane always does kind of like an address to union type speech at the beginning of the Banquet.
Mm-hmm.
And she had a very touching speech about how much she appreciates the fans, the racers, the track crews. She didn't say anything about you, Josh, but she did appreciate everything. And one of the funniest things she said, she really thanked you for helping her and giving her advice when it comes to the technical side of racing, like how many laps this race should be and stuff like that. And she's like, and Andrew gives me a lot of advice how to run the racing side. Not that I take his advice, but he does give it to me. So that was pretty funny. Everybody laughed. And then another thing she did say, she's like, she's willing to do this for another 5-6 years. She says, as long as she can keep getting the track from the owner, she's going to keep doing it. And she really appreciates everybody's support. And she did have a good year last year, and she enjoys doing it, and she wants to keep doing it for many years to come. So I
was very impressed with the fan count this whole year. It it was well over average of the last couple of years. Do you know what I mean?
Mhm.
Even there were some nights it was a little less than half full, but most of the time it was half full. You know,
That's
I
good.
think
I mean, even if you look at like compare it to New Smyrna, what we were able to see from the camera. I mean, they don't have a huge set of grandstands there, but seeing how it changed, over the couple days that I've been watching, and last night had the biggest crowd out of that,
Yeah.
and still, I think we see more people at Wall on a regular basis.
She didn't. One number she didn't mention in that little speech. She said another reason why it took her a little while to get the rules and stuff out is she is dealing with a new state police detective that's handling the motorsports side. That seems to change every year, man. That makes it tough,
Yeah.
So every year she's got to deal with a new.
it's probably some guy trying to make a name for himself too in the division. So
No, I see it the opposite way, Tim. When I did the towing for Howe Police, once I get used to the officer that was in charge of the towing side of the towing for the police rotation, it would change. Like every 6 months we're getting a new guy. None of them wanted to do it. It was almost like, it was a job
Personal.
nobody wanted, because they weren't getting any paid extra to do it. So I feel like that's what it's like for these state police.
Yeah, I was gonna say, I was gonna say more like, after each year, the guy says, "Oh, screw this! This is way too much effort. I don't want to go through all this between because it's not just Wall Stadium. I mean, you got to worry about Bridgeport and New Egypt and stuff as well.
And you got to run all the way down to Melville. You know
Yeah.
what I'm saying?
Yeah. So I mean, driving all over the place with all these darn events
But
going on,
She
and
did say like one of the things she had when she filled out the paperwork for the state police, one of the things she had to fill out was an average of attendance on a Saturday night. And she wrote down 1,800 people,
Mhm.
right? Just to submit it. And when she was talking to the new state trooper that's in charge, he said, I seen one mistake on your application. And she's like, what's that? He's like, you put down 1,800 people on an average Saturday night, and shouldn't it be 180 people or 800 people? She's like, no, we get about 1,800 people here on a Saturday night. He's like, well, that's way higher than the other racetracks are submitting. So she's just saying that our because of our great racing, we get the most fans on a Saturday night at the
Good.
racetrack.
I mean, that's a good problem to have.
Yeah. Oh yeah. She was very, very complimentary towards the racers and fans at the banquet, and it was a good speech she gave at the beginning.
so it's definitely working. It's definitely working.
She's happy with everything. As long as the owners will keep renting the truck, she's going to keep doing it.
Now, which division had the most support at the banquet? Like, was all
Once
10
again, the factory stocks, we had all 10 of our top 10 there, and once again, I think we were the only ones there with the full top 10. But then again, like the modifieds, we're missing a few people because like Eddie McCarthy's down south racing. You know what I'm saying? Like
Yeah.
Kenny Van Winkle wasn't there because he's in Florida. A lot of people were in Florida, and she was real cool about that too. She mentioned all the drivers and wished them luck. The ones that were racing down in Florida and the crew guys and safe travels and all that stuff. She was very aware that she lost some attendance because of speedweeks. You know what I'm saying? And she wasn't mad about it. She totally understood, and she was very respectful for the people that missed the banquet and went to Florida.
Mm-hmm.
My beautiful trophies again. You guys see my trophy? It's about a 6-foot trophy I got for second place.
You couldn't leave that out, huh?
She did most improved drivers, best appearing car. Hey, I wish they would do a best appearing car for every division. They just do an overall, and every year a modified gets it. A modified or a sportsman. Like I think it's time, to do best appearing for each division. This way, factory stocks, late models, legend cars, everybody gets something.
We should try to do that for like Turkey Derby. We have like the RPM best appearing car for the modified and the factory stocks. Not so much every division, but that'd be cool.
Yeah, I'm not against that. Scott, I also saw you got a still in the car interview.
Yeah,
a lot of people thought I lost a bet. I didn't lose a bet or nothing. Like everybody thought I lost a bet that whoever wins the whoever finishes second in the championship has to drive Elliott's bus.
Well, I don't know how else this happened or why you would submit to this.
People that know me know that I'm not a drinker. I don't drink. I always drive my friends to the bars and parties and stuff like that because I don't drink. They all drink. Nancy drinks. I don't drink. So why shouldn't I drive? Plus, I enjoy driving. I'm one of those people. I can drive to California and back and love it. I just enjoy driving. I don't drink. Everybody drank. Elliot has this party bus he bought. So I offered to drive it to the banquet. This way, it held 15 people. We had about 25 in there. We had people sitting on laps and coolers and everything else.
Yeah, no complaints here.
I drove the party bus to the banquet, and after the banquet, we went to Pete and Ella's from there, and then we drove all the way back to Elliott's house in Beechwood. And no, it's not because I lost a bet or nothing. I'm not a drinker, and I'd rather drive people that do drink. And so they don't drink and drive. So it was fun. Ellie has a party bus. We all went in that, and it was a great time.
Now, did you pass the cop at all?
Yeah. I tell you what. Well, we cheated a little bit. We had Joe McGrath with us, which is a Bricktown police officer. And I told Ellie, I said, listen, I'll drive this thing. But, I mean, people know Elliot, man. His registrations are always expired, and his insurance is never right. And
the plate's probably for a BMW or
no easy pass, all that stuff. I said, Elliot, I'll drive the thing, but you got to make sure every light works, and like blinkers work, headlights, and that you got the license plates. And he's like, everything's good. Plus, we had Joe McGrath with us. He's a Bricktown police officer, so we were pretty safe then. But I tell you what, we didn't see a cop the whole time, but when we left Pete and Elda's, we must have saw like 5 wall cops, and we passed them on 34 and 35, but we never had a problem with that,
There might be a thing there where those courtesy buses are so common that they don't even, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
A lot of bars
courtesy bus like that, and you're doing the right thing if you got a courtesy bus. You're not a driver driving the courtesy bus.
Overloaded on the people. That
thing ran good. It did have a vibration at 55 miles an hour, but once you got up to 65, the vibration went away. The other thing on the way home, there's a buzzer alert. This way, if a kid opens the back door, the bus driver knows that the back door is open. Mm-hmm. Well, somehow that got stuck on, and we couldn't get the shut off all the way home. So we're listening to that damn buzzer all the way home.
Oh man. So otherwise, it handled okay. Do you think you needed a little bit more wedge in that, or?
It handled fine, but with that many people, and it was a little down on power. We definitely had it overloaded, but whatever. It was
fun. I don't know what else to say on that.
How was the food, everything, all that?
Food was good. I mean, I didn't eat much. They had, when you first got there, they had like the cheese platters. You go up and get the cheese platters and all that stuff. And like I said, it was open bar from I think 3 o'clock to 5:30 was open bar. And they had the hors d'oeuvres that you walked out. It was basically cheese and crackers and like celery and peppers and stuff like that. Mm-hmm. And then the dinner was really good. I had the prime rib or whatever. The prime rib was really good, Tim. And they had, potatoes, and they had everything. They had chicken and all that stuff. I mean, I couldn't eat much, but the food was good. Then after dinner was served, they had coffee and a piece of cheesecake. I ate the cheesecake. The cheesecake was really, really good. And the coffee was good too. And then when that was all said and done, they had a s'mores bar set up, Tim,
that's cool,
with a fire and everything, and you can the graham crackers and chocolate and marshmallows and stuff. You can go up and make s'mores, and a lot of people were doing that.
Tizzy and the twins would have loved that.
What's that?
Tizzy and the twins would have loved that.
Yeah, and the chocolates they had placed out for the s'mores was Hershey's miniatures. The Mr. Goodbar crackles and the special darks and the
do you know why Mr. Goodbar is called Mr. Goodbar?
I didn't know at one time because I've been to Hershey. I've been to the tour.
I watched that thing, and the Man Who Built America type thing, and they had Hershey on there. That was made during the Depression. Mm-hmm. He put the peanuts in it to make it a meal bar.
Right.
Like, so it was a good bar. So
they used to sell it as a meal.
Yeah. Yep.
During the Depression, like when food was rationed, they'd sell that as a full meal.
Yep.
All right, Josh. I guess that pretty much wraps up. We want to talk about the kid that bought DeSoto Motor Speedway, right?
Yeah.
I don't know much about it, so if you guys want to talk about that, go ahead.
What was his name?
Cletus McFarland.
Yeah, they're just a kid that, like everybody else on YouTube, films everything he does from going to the bathroom to. He's more like a drag racing drifter kind of guy.
Okay.
And they were looking for a place. It's like anything else. They have to worry about the cops and have to worry about getting permission. And he said it was his brother-in-law or his cousin said, "Why don't you buy the old racetrack down the street?" And he's like, what's that? He didn't even know anything about it. And he went there and he talked to the owners and he ended up buying it. And like everything else, it's all on YouTube. It's all documented. And he walked through and I was amazed how beautiful that place is.
Well, everything looked to be in good, pretty much working order. There were some weeds and stuff growing up through the cracks in the track, which happens.
You know how they got rid of those?
Gas. They probably burned it, or did they do a burnout through it?
They used their drifting car. The drifting car kept going around and around the racetrack, ripping the weeds out.
Look, if it works, what? It's only stupid if it doesn't work.
Did you see the video where they were trying to get the little track truck running with the speed drive they use it at New Smyrna, Scott, the little dune buggy?
I seen the video I saw. They went into that garage where the little dune buggy was kept, but they weren't trying to get it running.
Well, the next day they got it running. They put a battery in it and fired right up, and they're out of the racetrack. And it's not made for it. It's made to speed drive. It's not made to be anything else but that. And they're out there. They're trying to get it sideways. They're trying to make it do burnouts. But it ran, and the flatbed ran. That Ford pickup truck ran, and all that stuff all ran.
You know, actually, you mentioned the flatbed. Scott, did they not have any flatbeds down at New Smyrna?
They don't go with flatbeds on it. They use the old style wreckers. That's why they do the twin hook when they need it. And back in the day when I used to go a lot, that's the one bad thing about New Smyrna. It's so fast. It kind of reminds me of Flemington. When you do wreck, it's a bad one. You know,
right?
The cars are pretty wiped out. Back in the day down there, they just had a forklift. If you wreck real bad, they just came out with a forklift, picked the whole car up, and bought it in. But I've been noticing this year they just been using wreckers to carry the cars off.
Yeah,
I'm sure that forklift is still there somewhere.
I was going to say, some of the wrecks seemed to take a bit long to clean up when you could have just had a flatbed like yours.
And I tell you what, Josh, they were cleaning. That's fast for them down there. I've been down there on nights where it takes forever for them to clean up a wreck, and they're actually doing it faster now than they have in years past. But yeah, they're not as fast down there.
The one Arca one, it was the fence. It took a while.
Yeah, they had the wreck itself cleaned up pretty quick, but they had to fix the catch fence.
Well, it's always helpful when the debris throws itself into the infield and hits a truck instead, right?
Yeah. New Smyrna has always been known for a little bit slow cleanup, and I think this year they're actually faster than normal, believe it or not.
No, that's I mean, I'm watching either way, but I do want to thank Nancy for that post of the replay of that barrel that got kicked up and hit into that the side of that Silverado the other night.
Hey, that guy was lucky because that guy was standing on the bed rails of that truck, and that barrel hit right below his feet.
Yeah, a couple of feet higher, and he was hit, or he could have fallen off into it.
They're lucky. A lot of those barrels at New Smyrna usually got a fire in them.
But yeah, that was quite a bit of damage.
Actually a water barrel, Tim. That was actually a water barrel they had sitting by like the pit entrance.
Yeah. I'm just being funny. Yeah.
But yeah, that did quite a bit of damage to that truck. I mean, it folded that door right in.
Josh, you know that New Smyrna Speedway has a bar right at the racetrack
under the grandstands.
Say no more. I'm on my way.
It's actually a pretty cool little bar. I've hung out in there before, and
they got the TV going.
Doesn't boil peanuts, but the bar itself.
They have the TV going with the race on and pictures of race cars on the wall. It's a pretty cool experience.
For that bar, Tim?
What?
Is there a name for that bar?
Yeah, it's called like a pit stop bar or something. I forget exactly.
But yeah, back to the YouTube channel. I mean, like you were saying, that's a great place for those guys to not get in trouble. I mean, they can legally do a bunch of,
He can do whatever he wants.
Yeah.
He can do whatever he wants.
Yeah. I mean,
safety.
Outside of murder or maybe, I don't know what the fireworks laws are, but I mean, they can do any type of burnout and anything like that.
What's cool about it is YouTube videos like that get addicting because, like Scott said, I watched the first one where they were looking at all this stuff and you wonder if it's going to run. And then the next day they said, they put a video up trying to get it all to run. You're like, well, cool, that ran. And then the next day they're like, I wonder what happened with the other truck. And then they get that one running and it goes on and on and on. And he does plan on having sanctioned racing there. He said he knows nothing about the business end of a racetrack. That's not why he bought it. He bought it.
But at
to
least
play.
he's upfront about it. I know a lot of people, you know,
Yeah.
it's you look at your keyboard warriors and they say, well, this is how you should fix it, and this is the way to run a racetrack. I mean,
No,
I
he's
can
gotta-
offer
Go
an
ahead.
opinion, but I mean, we all offer our opinions. That's the whole point of the show. But I mean, ultimately, when you're coming down to making a business decision, where it could financially, you know, change a lot.
All right, Josh. For the people that are listening, how can they find what we're talking about on YouTube? Just Google DeSoto Speedway.
Cletus McFarland is what I saw.
I'll put a link. I'll put a link on the Facebook page.
Yeah, we'll put a link on our RPM Facebook, or you can Google it or go on YouTube and find it. It's definitely cool. It's definitely something we're going to pay attention to. It's definitely something I'm going to pay attention to because if there's a race in the wintertime, I might shoot down
His
there.
first race, Scott, is going to be an enduro.
Yeah, I know. So it's definitely something we're going to keep an eye on. It's better to see a track bought than closed, so that's a good thing. We'll definitely keep an eye on that. We want to start wrapping up here because it's getting to be 5 o'clock around.
Oh wow, look at that! Yeah, no, we've been on for a while. But yeah, no, but absolutely, Scott. I mean, it's better to buy and use the track for something, even if it's only a handful of races a year and the rest is YouTube, whatever. It's better than seeing, you know, townhomes or you know,
Exactly.
department
And
store
he
go up.
does plan on having. He wants to do 4 sanctioned races next year using other people's racing sanctions, like Arca or whoever was interested.
But down there's a lot. You know, there's something called Fast Car, which is Florida
Okay.
racing. And there's a Wheelman series. It's like a late model series. There's all sorts of different types of series down there. Just like a super truck series. Florida's like its own little country for racing down there. They have their like own like.
Florida's
stuff.
weird in a lot of ways.
Yeah,
It's just
Florida's like-
amazing how beautiful this racetrack was. Like there was still toilet paper and all the toilet paper rolls and extra cups. And,
Well, that's what they're saying. Is like they just packed up and left. Like there's
yeah,
still
like they,
the pen holders, still papers on the desks and stuff
Yeah.
like that. That one
Amazing.
room was kind of weird. It had like 4 beds in it. Did you see that room? Tim?
yeah.
Definitely go and check it out. We wish them well. We're going to move on to what have we learned today. A couple things I learned today. I learned Tim did not get the job driving the hot dog truck
Hey,
for
next
Oscar
year.
Mayer, the Wiener wagon, Wienermobile it's called. That's Tim. I did learn that Tim don't like drop races. It screws the real racer. I learned Josh kept it together long enough to record a show from his mental breakdowns. I hope you're doing good there, Josh. At least by doing the show, you finally uploaded the stuff from Motorsports a month ago.
Yeah, the podcast. Yeah, the mixer's set up and wired
No,
in.
None of it frozen sitting in the trunk of his car for the last month.
Oh, and another thing we forgot to mention that I strongly want to let everybody know. Unfortunately, this year we're not going to be able to do the Daytona 500 party at River Rock, and the only reason we're not doing that is because after Super Bowl Sunday, they ripped the kitchen out. They're remodeling their kitchen and redoing the kitchen. They wanted to have a 500 party, but without food. And we just didn't, between us and Jeff Lane and Jeff's racing team that's sponsored by River Rock, we decided not to do it because we just couldn't see inviting everybody there to watch a race for 4 hours without food.
Which kind of sucks because last year it was amazing. The turnout was amazing. The people that were there. So next, things like this. What sucks about it is when you miss a year, you kind of got to start all over again.
But don't think that we're not ever going to have it again.
Yeah.
We're done having it. The only reason we're not having it is because River Rock doesn't have a kitchen right now.
Yeah.
So next year we'll be back.
Honestly, in lieu of that, what I'm going to push for is well, if Scott doesn't go down to Florida this year, I'm hoping for like a end of the year party, like a championship race party.
Oh, that'd be good.
Because I mean, that's what, November.
I'm not going to Florida that weekend because they actually moved that race to Arizona now, to Phoenix.
Right. Yeah. So I mean, maybe we could do something like that and do a show prior, and then everybody again. It's November, but we don't know because of Turkey Derby and all that. We'll see how it all lines up. We'll talk to Jeff Lane and sort some stuff out. But we do want to be back at it. We have more things in store. Scott has a banner that he's going to have up nice behind him to, so his boiler room isn't there. But yeah, we're planning on doing a lot more. We're gonna get back into the groove of things and start doing our weekly shows.
All right, Tim, what have you learned?
I learned pre-show that Josh likes his coffee extra creamy, which concerns me a little bit. I actually had him. That's the only thing I had for that, but I do want to mention that Scott brought home Jeff Lane's trophy from the banquet, right? That was Jeff Lane's trophy?
Yes, Eric
Scott?
Lane's. Eric Lane's.
Yeah, well, whatever. Chris, yeah, his dad, we gave it to. And Robert Barney fixed Mom's tire for free, so I want to thank Barney's Tire Service for fixing Mom's tire. He actually said he's going to put it on your bill, Scott, so if it makes
I'm sure. Nothing's for free. Everything goes on my bill.
That's about it. Thanks for listening, and a lot of racing this week, New Smyrna.
Josh, what have you learned?
I learned that leaving the banquet, Scott was a little heavy in the rear end, and it had a little shimmy to it.
Josh, you going to try to have the show up tonight?
I'm gonna try. Yeah.
It's early. Just so everybody knows, we had like an hour and a half pre-show that we didn't even tape that we should have taped.
That was Scott trying to get his microphone levels right, and me and Tim BSing about whatever.
All right, guys, so that wraps up episode 163 of the RPM podcast. Thanks for joining us, and we'll see you next week.
All right, have a good one. We'll see you at Speedweeks or at Wall.
Good night, everyone.